Chapter 1280. Li Fan flew directly to Dalian Harbor. Lu Wanner was filming a new drama with the crew called My Wife is the Martial Arts Master. Li Fan sat in the room, looking at the script sent by Lu Wanner's assistant, and found that the story was very similar to his own. However, the background of the story was changed to university. The first scene was that he failed to confess his love. Then he met the goddess Murong Ying and obtained 10 years of inner force from her, and then he dominated the campus. Looking at the embarrassment of a certain person's failed confession, Li Fan was a little embarrassed. Damn it, looking at my past self, I feel so childish. Li Fan could not help but mutter, "You're still as dumb as before." Dragon Girl sat at the side, shaking her little feet. After reading the script, she raised her head and winked at Li Fan. Fuck, I'm so wise and powerful now. Li Fan curled his lips. Who wrote this script? I found someone to write it. Lu Wanner pushed the door and entered. Beside her was a beautiful young female assistant. What? Do you want me to pay you a little copyright fee? Ahem, there is no need for that. Anyway, you are mine. Li Fan coughed twice. With the presence of the assistant, Lu Wanner was a little embarrassed. I am doing this to promote the Seven Knights Villa. In addition to Shun Shun and the Jiang sisters, you also have to come and play a role. Fuck, who am I going to play? Li Fan was shocked. Happy to be involved in this. You will play the role of the one who fought with you in the past. Liao something, the one who practiced the steel-breaking hand. Liao Bing of the Thunderbolt Palm. Li Fan still remembered him, but he did not know how the Liao family of the Thunderbolt Palm was doing. Yes, you will play this role. Just 2 fighting scenes. After shooting, you will be done. I don't want to do it. I am not an actor. I am a martial artist. Li Fan said proudly. I have the dignity of a martial artist. Lu Wanner walked to Li Fan's side and whispered in his ear. I will give it to you tonight. But on the other hand, I am the chairman of the company. Contributing to the development of the company is what I should do. The assistant was relieved. Although she did not know what Lu Wanner said, it worked. The investor strongly requested Li Fan to play a role, even if it was a small role. Then familiarize yourself with the script. I'll introduce you to the other actors later. Lu Wanner reminded Li Fan, when the time comes, try to be polite, don't put on airs. Fan, you know me. I'm not arrogant. Wanner. Lu Wanner knew me well. Lu Wanner. Lu Wanner naturally knew what he meant. Her cheeks turned crimson, and she wanted to scold him, but she didn't dare to. Anyway, you should familiarize yourself with the script. Diana, you'll be in charge of Director Lee's matters for the next 2 days. If there's anything, remember to inform me immediately, okay? Wanner, Master said, I will do my best. The assistant nodded. Lu Wanner seemed to be busy with other things. She said a few words to Li Fan and left. Director Lee, are you hungry? Do you want me to buy you something to eat? I am hungry. Dragon Girl raised her hand. I want to eat steamed buns. Okay. There's a restaurant nearby that sells delicious steamed buns. Diana nodded. How much do you want? Buy me 20 trays first. Dragon Girl smacked her lips. Let me eat first. Diana did not know how to react. Go buy it. She has a big appetite. Li Fan nodded. Okay. Diana went out to buy the steamed buns. Li Fan lowered his head and continued to study his script. The scriptwriter obviously had some creative ideas. Liao Bing was even worse in the script. It seemed that he would not stop until he killed the male lead. Before Diana left, she also left a separate script, in which several scenes of Li Fan were selected. This was not bad. It should be to focus on shooting him first, so that he could finish the scene earlier and not waste the crew's resources by staying here. When Diana came back, Li Fan had already memorized most of the lines. After all, he did not have many lines. He only had the same few lines, mainly fighting scenes. You have worked hard. Looking at Diana carrying big and small bags, Li Fan expressed his gratitude. No, it's okay. These are what I should be sitting on. Diana was slightly out of breath. It was indeed hard for a weak girl to carry so many steamed buns back. Li Fan gently placed his hand on her wrist and injected a stream of yuan qi into Diana's body, helping her to quickly calm down. Diana felt a little strange. Director Lee was so magical. Just touching her could soothe the discomfort in her body. Amazing. What would happen if he touched her a few more times? Speaking of which, how long will this drama be filmed? Li Fan snatched 2 steamed buns from Dragonessa's mouth and stuffed them into his mouth to satisfy his hunger. It is estimated to be about half a year. The investment is 100 million. Diana said, they hired the popular fresh meat, Yu Hui, to act. Hired fresh meat? His salary is not low, right? Well, the asking price was 100 million, but later on, for the director's sake, it was reduced to 80 million. Awesome. Li Fan sneered. The investment is only 100 million, and he alone took 80 million. The remaining 20 million, after deducting the salaries of others. Is there still money left for filming? You probably can't even afford to rent the venue, right? Well, there's nothing we can do about it. Now the TV station and the audience recognize this. The fan effect is too powerful, Diana explained, and with your guest appearance, the investors added another 200 million. Fuck, am I worth so much money? Li Fan was a little surprised. Then how much do I get paid? That. Director Lu said that you were a guest star, so you don't need to be paid. Li Fan fell into a state of silence for a long time. How's it going? Lu Wanwan pushed the door and walked in again. It will be your scene in a while. Let's take a car to the set. Fuck, you don't give me any time to rest. You're ordering this silly kid around. Li Fan complained incessantly. Hurry up and finish filming, so I can accompany you to walk around here. Lu Wanwan winked at Li Fan. I bought a new swimsuit. I want to wear it for you. Okay, work must be done quickly. As the saying goes, today is the end of today. Li Fan patted his chest and stood up. Watch my performance. I guarantee that our producer Lu will be satisfied. Hee hee, glib tongue. You, just do your best. Anyway, you standing here is the biggest gimmick. Li Fan muttered in his heart. Do I have such a big celebrity effect? I'm just a martial artist, not a star. Chapter 1281. Li Fan arrived at the set in Lu Wan-er's nanny car. Because it was a school drama, they had rented a place from a school. Many of the scenes were shot in this place to save on filming costs. Yu Hui was indeed a popular fresh meat. When Li Fan entered the set in the car, he found that it was surrounded by students, many of whom were Yu Hui's fans. Many of them were holding banners in their hands, cheering for their idol or want to catch a glimpse of him. However, the filming location was probably closed, so these fans could only wait there, hoping for a chance to catch a glimpse of their idol. But they might not be able to catch a glimpse of their idol even if they waited for a whole day. At this time, it was still drizzling slightly, but these fans were still standing outside the set, holding banners to support their favorite idol. This Yu Hui has acted in many Xinxia dramas a while ago, so he became popular all of a sudden. Lu Wanner sat next to Li Fan and explained to him, as long as he is around, even if our drama is a little lousy, it can still sell well. Why we have to make it lousy? Li Fan was a little unhappy. Can't we grasp the details, make a good script, act well, and shoot a good classic? There are many steps from preparation to filming, and some of them may be difficult to control. Lu Wanner sighed. It's even more difficult to find a reliable filming team. Just like XX List a while ago, their filming team was very good, and they carefully polished their work. But this team is very popular now, and if you want to find them to film, you'll have to wait for a few years. I don't care about other companies, and I don't care about the current market. Li Fan had strict requirements for Lu Wanner. Even if we don't use these fans, even if we can only shoot web dramas, I want our drama to be carefully crafted with a conscience. It's okay to lose money. Just pay, I can afford it. Li Fan said without hesitation. It's their business to invest in the works of other companies, how they film it. But our own company has to prepare for the filming, so we must have a conscience. Wanner, can you respect this request of mine? All right, if this is your wish, I am willing to fulfill it for you. Lu Wanner nodded. From the next movie onwards, we won't look for those big names. We'll spend every penny we invest in the right places. That's right. This is the senior sister I like. Li Fan was pleased to hear this. Let's discuss important matters in the future and plan for the world. Go to hell. You think you can conquer the world? Lu Warner was amused by Li Fan. Anyway, you're the one paying. I don't care if you lose money. With my genius girl here, how could I possibly suffer a loss? Oof, I'm not a genius girl. You're praising Lin Yuechen, aren't you? Do you miss her? When Lu Warner asked this, her jealousy was flying everywhere. Ahem, this dragon lady, do you still have any buns left? No matter how he answered this question, Li Fan simply chose to change the topic. Cunning man. Lu Warner rolled her eyes at Li Fan. At this moment, the car suddenly stopped. What's the matter? Director Lu, there's a wire hanging in front. The road is blocked, and our car can't get in. The driver answered. Then let's wait for a while. Lu Warner had just finished speaking when Li Fan waved his hand. It's fine. We're already there. Let's get out and take a few steps. It's not convenient. Lu Warner looked outside. Many fans were still surrounding them. It's fine. I'm not a celebrity. Let's get out. Li Fan said as he opened the door and got out of the nanny van. As soon as he got out of the car, the fans outside became excited. Li Fan. It's Li Fan. Oh my God, he's Li Fan. He's so handsome. Hubby, look here. Looking at these excited female fans, Li Fan was also taken aback. What was going on? Since when was he so popular? Get in the car. Lu Warner pulled Li Fan back into the car and lectured him. Are you crazy? Getting out of the car like this? Aren't you afraid of causing big news? What's going on? When did I become so popular? Li Fan was very puzzled. Looking at the fans shouting outside, he was a little confused. Fool, you're no longer the Li Fan that only belongs to the underworld. Ever since your battle with Takeda, everyone in China knows who you are, Li Fan. Otherwise, why do you think the investors spent $200 million to invite you? They love you. It's all because of your celebrity effect. Okay. Li Fan deeply reflected on himself in front of Lu Warner and expressed that he would not make such a mistake again. That's more like it. Wait in the car for a while. We'll be there soon. Li Fan looked outside. Looking at the enthusiastic female fans, he could not help but ask. But it's not good to let them wait in the rain. Don't worry. After you finish filming, you can come and thank them. Moreover, they're all you Huey's fans. If you come and greet him first, Huey will think that you're deliberately stealing his fans. I'll listen to you. Li Fan curled his lips. But this Huey is really pretentious. This circle is like this. Lu Warner smiled. Everyone pretends to be careless, but in fact, they're more sensitive than anyone else. We're just here to make a guest appearance. If we can avoid trouble, we'll try our best to avoid it. Do you think I'm afraid of you, Huey? Of course you're not afraid. But we still have to film this movie. Lu Warner coaxed Li Fan in various ways. Be good. Just treat it as giving me some face. Fine. Since you're my boss, I'll listen to you. Looking at the weariness between Lu Warner's brows, Li Fan felt a little heartache. Recently, she must have been working hard. In order to promote the company's newcomer, she must have put in a lot of effort. Okay. The road is open. Let's go. Lu Warner glanced at the road and ordered the driver. Yes, Director Lu. The driver didn't dare to delay and quickly drove the car in. The car drove all the way to the set. When Li Fan got out of the car, he saw a man wearing a shirt and trousers, working hard to hang a wire. Oh, this Hui, he's quite hard-working. Where? Hui is sitting over there. Lu Warner pointed to the side. Li Fan turned his head and saw a handsome man wearing sportswear. He was sitting on the chair he brought. His assistant was standing at the side, serving him tea. For this kind of martial arts drama, these big shots won't personally come up to act. Lu Warner explained. It's already very good that he's here. They're spoiled. Li Fan coldly snorted. Motherfucker. After spending money, they invited this bunch of grandsons to come and be their masters. Chapter 1282. Yo, Director Lu is here. Aya, Li Fan. Hero Li, you're here too. The director was wearing a casual singlet and holding a script in his hand. He was originally staring at the screen, but when he looked up and saw Li Fan and the others, he immediately walked up to them with a smile. According to Lu Warner, this director was relatively young and a new director, but he had more ideas and was quite serious when filming. After all, most of the money had been used to hire Yu Hui, so the director couldn't use a big name anymore. Director Wong, you've worked hard recently. As the producer, Lu Wan-er had some authority here. Many young actors surrounded them and asked about their well-being. It's nothing, it's nothing. It's what I should do. Director Wong combed his hair and had a slightly oily face. It was said that he used to be an actor. He turned around and waved to an actress who was rehearsing her lines next to him. Xiaoming, hurry up. Your producer is here. Hey, she's here. A pretty young girl wearing a violet cheongsam appeared. When she heard the director calling her, she immediately looked up and saw Lu Wan. Ah, Director Lu. The young girl was very happy. With her black hair draped over her shoulders, she wore a cheongsam and skipped over. The assistant followed beside her, looking as if she was afraid that something would happen to her. Li Fan, let me introduce you. This is our company's new actor, Dongfang Meng. Lu Wan-er patted the young girl's shoulder. Both girls were very tall, and when they stood together, they were very eye-catching. You're Li Fan? Hello. When Dongfang Meng saw Li Fan, she looked a little surprised and didn't know what to say for a long time. Why are you so nervous, little girl? Li Fan laughed. Don't be afraid. I won't eat you. It's Li Fan. Oh no. Teacher Li, Lu Wan-er gently pinched Li Fan. Xiaoming is quite shy. She didn't know how to speak in her previous company, so she was frozen. So that's how it is. Did you dig it out? Li Fan comforted the little girl. Work hard. In our company, you will get more opportunities to develop. Thank you. Dongfang Meng bowed deeply toward Li Fan. It's not easy for everyone to film. The crew must have worked hard. How about this? I'll treat everyone to a meal today. Li Fan reached out and called for Diana. Are there any good restaurants nearby? There's a sushi restaurant, sure. Bring a few people and buy some sushi. One for everyone. Li Fan treated the crew to a meal and immediately won the favor of most of them. Sometimes the crew would film from morning till night, and the food they ate was mainly boxed lunches. No matter how sumptuous a boxed lunch was, there would come a time when one would get sick of it. If someone came to improve their meals, they would definitely be overjoyed. Poor Diana. She wanted to help Li Fan buy food again. But this time, he brought a few of the crew members with him. Oh, Teacher Li, you're too kind. The director surrounded Li Fan and kept talking to him. Is there anything you don't understand about the role? Do you want me to help you? Okay, then I'll have to trouble you. Lu Wan-er gave Dongfang Meng a look, asking her to accompany Li Fan more. As long as she left a good impression on Li Fan, he would definitely take her along. However, Dongfang Meng was clumsy. When she helped Li Fan with a glass of water, she accidentally spilled the water on Li Fan's legs, which made Li Fan not know whether to laugh or cry. In the past, he always thought that muddle-headed girls only existed in novels, but now it seemed that they existed in real life too. Lu Wan had a unique eye for choosing such a girl. Was it really okay for her to play the role of Morong Ying? But Lu Wan-er's eyes were probably not wrong. While Li Fan was surrounded, Yu Hui was sitting on the other side, accompanied by his assistant. Brother, look, the assistant murmured as he fanned Yu Hui. He's just an internet celebrity. Yu Hui didn't care and curled his lips. He made some fake videos and gained some popularity. He even tried his best to shoot a scene with me. I've seen a lot of people who rely on hype to get famous. Brother, he's stealing your limelight. Should I think of a way to suppress him? The assistant asked. He's just a small character. Yu Hui, will not take this kind of person seriously. Yes, brother is really magnanimous. And help me choose a photo and Photoshop it. Yu Hui threw the phone to the assistant. The assistant carefully selected one from these selfies, Photoshopped it for Yu Hui, and returned it to him. Okay, post on my Weibo. Say that my leg was injured for the scene, but I will work harder to play the role of Li Fan and dedicate it to everyone. Okay, leave it to me, brother. The assistant immediately made up a Weibo post and posted it. In a short while, it was shared over 100,000 times. Many of Yu Hui's fans felt sorry for him and advised him not to work too hard. On the other side, the stunt double was still working hard on the wire, practicing the next scene. Director, are we still filming? We still have a commercial performance to catch up on. The assistant shouted at the director. Oh, sorry to keep you waiting. Let's start right away. The director didn't dare offend Yu Hui. Since he was part of the cast, he naturally had to treat him like an ancestor. This, teacher you. The next scene will be between you and Liao Bing. Please change your clothes and practice your lines. The assistant director came up to ask. Got it. Yui didn't say anything. His assistant waved his hand, and a stylist and makeup artist came up to help Hui change his clothes. Sigh, he's only been here for a little over an hour, and he's still talking about going to a commercial performance. The director couldn't help but sigh. I only have 8 hours a day to film him. He's been counting the time since he left the hotel. If this goes on, he won't be able to finish his scenes. Only 8 hours a day? What's going on? Li Fan was a little confused. I'll explain it to you, director. You can adjust yourself first. Lu Wanan sat next to Li Fan and explained. Actors are signed according to the number of days, especially for an actor like Yu Hui. He's even more meticulous, down to the second. A film doesn't mean that the actors have to film with you from start to finish. Take Yu Hui, for example. We signed him for 100 days, but he only has 8 hours to work every day. Moreover, an actor like Yu Hui doesn't stay in the same hotel as us. He has to stay in a 5-star hotel by himself. We also have to provide him with a nanny van and arrange food and accommodation for his entire team. His daily expenses were at least 500,000 yuan. Also, he has to count the time since he left the hotel, excluding traffic jams and makeup on the spot. The rest of the filming time is pitiful. Fuck, then what do I need him for? Li Fan's eyes widened. Chapter 1283. Actually, we just need his face. Lu Waner quickly explained. As long as we have his face, our ratings will be guaranteed. And as I said before, the TV station now recognizes this. If we want to access the satellite channel, we can't do it without these big shots. It's purely because of the spoiling. Li Fan coldly snorted. Who set this rule? Because of this, China's film and television industry began a vicious cycle and became worse and worse. Teacher Li, please practice your lines. The assistant director came to invite Li Fan. Li Fan had changed his clothes at this time. Liao Bing's clothes were relatively simple, just a plain short shirt, convenient to travel in the industry. Li Fan's hair was specially arranged by the stylist, making him look very spirited. He walked in front of the camera. Even the director could not help but nod. This Li Fan was quite photogenic. Third episode, 6th scene, once. The staff hit the board. Li Fan stood face to face with Yu Hui, who had already changed his clothes. Li Fan, you want to marry my goddess? Li Fan, who played Liao Bing, scolded Yu Hui, who played his role. Trash. Today, I'll let you know what is the real martial arts world. Yu Hui stood there with a look of contempt, spitting out a few words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Li Fan was stunned for a moment. What was going on? Cut. The director hurriedly stopped and then said to Li Fan, Teacher Li, don't hesitate. It's your turn. Wait a minute, what's going on with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Li Fan frowned. Why don't you even know this? This is our brother's line. Yu Hui's assistant looked at Li Fan with a look of contempt. How can you be an actor if you don't even know this? Teacher Li, this, Yu Hui's line will be added after the dubbing. He can't even remember his lines, and he still wants to act his grandpa's play. With Li Fan's temper, he did not want to spoil him. Get him to memorize his lines and act with me. Otherwise, get lost. Hey, you're throwing a tantrum. You're just a small internet celebrity. What right do you have to fire our brother? Yu Hui's assistant glared at Li Fan. Director Li, what happened? At this time, Lu Waner walked over and bowed to Li Fan before asking. Yu Hui, who was standing at the side, was immensely pleased with himself. When he heard Lu Waner's greeting, he was immediately stunned. Director Li, what does dong mean? Lil Wan, cancel the contract with this idiot and get someone else to do it. All right, although it would result in considerable losses, since it was Li Fan's wish, Lu Waner did not hesitate at all. She waved her hand and called for Diana. Diana, draft a termination agreement. Wait, what do you mean by this? Yu Hui was stunned, but he didn't say anything. His assistant didn't let him off and stepped forward to question him. Our brother pushed back many schedules to come here. How can you just cancel the contract just like that? We'll pay you compensation, and then you can do whatever you want. With Li Fan around, Lu Wanner, who was usually gentle, had a very tough attitude today. The director sat on the side and didn't dare to say anything. Anyway, the company was paying for the filming, so he just had to do it. Although they had filmed a lot of scenes before, most of them were shot by stunt doubles. It wasn't a problem to shoot again. At most, it was a matter of budget. But wasn't Li Fan the chairman? As long as he gave them money, they could do anything. You'd better not regret it. The assistant was trembling with anger. Diana, post an official Weibo to explain that the so-called fresh meat, Yu Hui, was acting like a big shot and didn't act seriously, so he was terminated by the crew. Li Fan deliberately raised his voice to Diana, but this little assistant was a little busy. Without me, who would watch your lousy show? Yui finally couldn't take it anymore, and he cursed. With you, perhaps the ratings will be very high. Li Fan stood there and looked at the fresh meat in front of him. But our production company will definitely be rained down with abuse. When the time comes, you'll take the money and gain popularity, and then you'll turn around and leave. We'll be the scapegoat. Why should we owe you? Let me tell you, Yu Hui, you're not an actor at all. You should be called an internet celebrity. You're so unprofessional and rely on your face to make a living. I'll give you a word of advice. Be careful of your own destruction. Let's go. Yu Hui was also unbearably angry. The crew belonged to Li Fan. He couldn't stay here, so he could only hide. But it was a little awkward here. Once Yu Hui left, the male lead was gone, and the group of people began to stare at each other. I say, Director Li, which actor should we look for? Do you want me to recommend a few? I have some understanding of the position of this role. The director came up with the names of a few stars and told them to Li Fan. Why should we look for them? Isn't there a ready-made one? Lu Wanner smiled sweetly and gently placed her hand on Li Fan's shoulder. Isn't that right, Li Fan? Li Fan felt his calf twitch. That's right. Director Li can act as himself. How wonderful. When the director heard that, he quickly clapped his hands and praised. I think Director Li's qualities are not bad. He's very suitable for the role. Why don't you do it yourself, Director Li? Yeah. I think Director Li is also very good. Much better than Yu Hui. Everyone in the crew followed suit and flattered him, making Li Fan a little confused. Look, so many people want you to do it. Just agree. Lu Wanner massaged Li Fan's shoulders as she urged him to do it. Is this okay? Okay, Director Li. You had a good feeling just now. The director kept flattering him. I swear on my years of experience as an actor and my foresight as a director that you're definitely an excellent actor. Is that so? Yeah, just do it yourself. This way, our crew can save a lot of money. Isn't it better to spend the money where it's most needed? With a bunch of people fooling him, Li Fan felt a little smug. Then I'll try. Shoot a couple of scenes and see. If it doesn't work, we can change the male lead. I'll pay for it. Looking at Lu Wanner's triumphant smile, Li Fan felt as if he had fallen into a trap. After all, the crew had only been shooting for a few days. Even if they changed the male lead, it wouldn't be a loss. As long as Li Fan was willing to back him up, the drama could be saved. The group of people passed the script, put on makeup, and started shooting again. But early the next morning, the news came out. It was said that the internet celebrity Li Fan had maliciously slandered and pressured the male actor, Yu Hui, in order to create hype, resulting in the replacement of the male lead. Li Fan was personally acting as the male lead. Such a vile method of creating hype should be criticized. When this news came out, the fans were in an uproar. All kinds of Yu Hui's die-hard fans and the internet water army all ran to the official Weibo account to curse. Slandering our husband. What kind of dogs are you? Stupid TV drama. Without my husband, there won't be any ratings. Ugly Li Fan, jealous of my husband. Your whole family will die. Chapter 1284. It's just a public opinion battle. It's a common tactic. You don't have to worry about it. Lu Wanner saw that Li Fan was scrolling through Weibo. Afraid that he would be angry, she quickly massaged his shoulders and legs to comfort him. No, I'm not angry. Li Fan raised his head and smiled. It's just a bunch of brainless fans. Scolding them won't affect my work. Terminating the contract with Yu Hui was my decision. I've already expected this kind of pressure. If I can't even bear this, how can I still be considered a grandmaster? It's a good thing that you're broad-minded. However, their scolding is indeed unpleasant. I'll arrange for the media to start a public opinion battle with them. Comforting Li Fan was one thing, but Lu Wan'er herself was not happy about it. Li Fan was the man she liked. This man had sacrificed everything for China, but now he was being scolded by a bunch of brainless fans. Why? Li Fan was broad-minded, but she, Lu Wan'er, was narrow-minded. Why bother? Once our drama is out, we'll just talk about the quality. Don't worry, my dear. I've already prepared for this. Lu Wan'er honestly admitted, it was indeed my plan to let you be the male lead. I know that if I invited you directly, you definitely wouldn't come. But using this kind of method to force you is like forcing a duck onto a perch. It will most likely succeed. Lin Yuichisen and I have already deduced the events before and after. We naturally have a way to deal with it. This Yu Hui is inverting black and white. We'll deal with it as it comes and let him reap what he sowed. You too. Everything has been calculated by you. After Li Fan heard this, he also smiled bitterly. When these two girls with high IQ were together, no one could escape from their schemes. Aya, we're doing this for your own good. Why must I play this role? This is our wish. Lu Wan'er gently leaned on Li Fan's shoulder. Her hair fell on his chest. She lowered her voice and whispered in Li Fan's ear. You've done too much for the martial arts world. We all hope to let the people of Huaxiao know that there's a hero like you. I'm not doing this for them to see. Li Fan put his arm around Lu Wan'er's shoulders and looked at her big, sparkling eyes. He couldn't help but feel moved. This is my responsibility. The duty of the Shangfang sword is to protect all of you, not to be like that Yu Hui, who only knows how to play to the gallery. My life is a fight, not a show. I don't care. I want everyone to worship you. Lu Wan'er began to act like a spoiled child in Li Fan's embrace. Okay. I'll listen to you. But you did this behind my back, so you should compensate me. How are you going to compensate me? Pay you some salary? The debt of love shall be paid with my body. As Li Fan spoke, he pushed Lu Wan'er onto the table and lifted up the hem of her uniform skirt. Don't. This is the lounge. That's why it's exciting. As Li Fan spoke, he waved his hand and the door closed with a bang. He used his primordial qi to seal the door so that outsiders could not enter. No, they'll hear the sound. Just bear with it and don't scream. I can't help it. Li Fan had a way. Lu Wan was wearing a string thong. He directly untied it and stuffed it into Lu Wan's mouth, which made Lu Wan embarrassed and angry. But she couldn't do anything to Li Fan. Li Fan went straight in, and Lu Wan'er lost her temper. While the crew was busy shooting, all kinds of insulting posts about Li Fan filled Weibo and directly pushed Li Fan to the top of the list. Some fake martial arts masters, some malicious hype, and some even said that the Seven Knights Villa maliciously cheated tourists and cheated them of their money. There were all kinds of public opinion, and the whole public was raining down curses on Li Fan. Yu Hui sat on the deck of his cruise ship, looking at these Weibo posts on his phone, and smiled with satisfaction. Oof, you want to fight with me, Yu Hui? Look at yourself first. In addition to filming, Yu Hui was secretly kept by a rich and powerful woman. Knowing that Yu Hui had been wronged, the rich woman was also very unhappy. All kinds of internet water army and rumors were overwhelming, just to make Li Fan fall into the most terrible abyss once again. I want you to know how terrible the public opinion of netizens is. I want you to die in the groundless condemnation and never be able to raise your head again. Yu Hui laughed, as if he had already imagined the tragic scene of Li Fan's company going bankrupt, being alone, and finally committing suicide by jumping off a building. But Yu Hui's complacency did not last long. 2 days later, a video was pushed to the top of the search list. In the video was the scene of Yu Hui shooting in the crew. It was all about how Yu Hui acted like a big shot, how lazy he was, and how he pretended to be injured to gain sympathy by pretending to be himself in a martial arts scene. And the last scene was the scene of Yu Hui and Li Fan. Yu Hui said a number and was scolded by Li Fan. When Li Fan finished saying be careful of yourself, the video came to an abrupt end. Why is there such a video? Yu Hui flew into a rage in his own studio. He pointed at his assistant and scolded, "Who the fuck recorded this?" Usually, when filming in a crew, there were very few people who would release an internal video. The major companies and crew knew what kind of people these actors were. Once such a video was leaked, it would be very difficult for the crew and company in charge of filming to find other actors to film. However, in the battle of public opinion, this kind of video was like a nuclear weapon. The assistant was also dumbfounded. How could he have expected such an unexpected situation? Previously, he had slandered Li Fan in all kinds of ways on the internet, saying how he was making fun of Yu Hui, who was working hard. Now, a video had directly exposed the truth of the matter. It was simply a naked slap in the face. For a moment, a war of public opinion began on the internet again. Coinciding with the current hot news of young male idols being unprofessional, the entire Weibo exploded. In the past, Li Fan had a lot of fans. Now, the camp of fans was expanding rapidly. Many people liked Li Fan's 3 viewpoints. Meanwhile, Yu Hui's fans were completely brainless. All kinds of people said that they could not remember their lines, and shouted numbers were common. There were also people who said that it was enough for their husband to be good-looking. There was no limit to how low they could go. Following that, a well-known anchor with millions of fans began to broadcast an all-day tour of the 7 Nights Villa. The beautiful scenery of the villa instantly attracted a lot of attention. And with the help of his cousin, Zhou, this anchor even entered the interior of the 7 Nights Villa and broadcast some content of the internal training. But when they saw a female disciple using Qigong and leaping over a 3-meter-high wall, all the fans could not sit still. Wushou was not a gimmick, nor was it a fake video. Li Fan's popularity was instantly guaranteed, and the 7 Nights Villa also rose in popularity. A large number of tourists poured into the villa. Chapter 1285. Evil never triumphed over good. Li Fan had always believed in the rationality of these words. The battle of opinions on Weibo had finally proven the meaning of these words. Yu Hui's popularity plummeted. Although there were still some hardcore fans, it was obvious that he had become a grasshopper after autumn. He wouldn't be able to last long. Looking at Li Fan's popularity, it was rising. A clip of him filming was also posted online. Watching Li Fan's serious expression while filming a martial arts scene, he attracted a large number of fans. He was a real man, not a sissy. Not only did he have female fans, but he also had male and female fans. Everything went according to Lin Yuhsn and Lu Wanan's plan. The 2 girls added fuel to the fire and sent Li Fan into the Hall of Fame. This wasn't a reputation that ordinary people could obtain. However, Li Fan wasn't interested in these things. He only wanted to finish filming the TV series and return to the villa. Li Fan wasn't at ease, leaving only Xia Ho and Jiang Yi in charge of the villa. The main reason was that he had recently heard that Jiang Feng had become the new commander of the Imperial Army. This guy was a powerful opponent. Now that he had climbed to such a high position, it was impossible for him not to have thoughts about Lin Fan. Li Fan was right. Jiang Feng was already preparing to deal with the 7 Nights Villa. He disguised himself and stood at the foot of the 7 Nights Mountain. He looked at the lively 7 Nights Villa and asked the beautiful girl beside him, "Wuxin, look at this place. What do you think? It looks prosperous, but it's only on the surface." Shui Wuxin was wearing the uniform of the embroidered uniform guards. She was Jiang Feng's right-hand man. Your words clearly have some personal feelings. Jiang Feng folded his hands in his sleeves and looked up at the mountain. You have to look at things objectively. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. If you're biased against this place, how are you going to win against Li Fan? Yes, Lord, you are right. I was wrong. Shui Wuxin bowed to Jiang Feng to show her remorse. This place can be considered treasure. Jiang Feng sighed with emotion. It's surrounded by mountains and rivers. Although that Li Fan isn't much, he does have a few capable helpers by his side, and they helped him choose such a feng shui treasure land. Jiang Feng seemed a little envious. If my lord likes it, I'll get it from my lord. Shui Wuxin volunteered. Oh, I'd like to hear how you're going to take down this place for me. This 7 Chivalry Mountain villa has taken in many people of the martial world. As long as we can bribe some of them and coordinate with us from the inside, we will definitely be able to attack the root of the problem and take down the manor. It's a good plan, but Li Fan is also an expert. If he's in charge of the villa, how are we going to deal with it? Find an opportunity to transfer Li Fan away. As the saying goes, luring the tiger away from the mountain. At that time, won't this place be at my mercy? Shui Wuxin's explanation made Jiang Feng clap his hands happily. Not bad. After following me for so long, you have indeed improved. Thank you for your praise, my lord. Shui Wuxin's face was red. She was secretly happy to be praised by Jiang Feng. It's just a pity that you forgot one thing. What is it? This place is a tourist attraction approved by the government. Jiang Feng pointed at the 2A tourist attraction at the side. With this thing, how do you think we can lead the troops up the mountain? This, Shui Wuxin was also stunned. She really had no way to solve this problem. That's why I said that there are some talents around Li Fan. They have already predicted this move of ours, so they gave the 7 Chivalry Mountain villa the appearance of a tourist attraction. This way, they have the government backing them. If you don't want to take down this place, we can only go up the mountain and challenge the villa master, Li Fan, and make him give up the villa to us. I'm willing to fight for my lord. Shui Wuxin hurriedly begged. No rush. Jiang Feng waved his hand. Moreover, you're not that Li Fan's opponent. He has defeated Murong Bo and Takeda. His nickname of Little Tyrant is not for nothing. What about you, my lord? If I were to fight against him, I'd probably have a 50-50 chance of winning. Jiang Feng carefully weighed his current strength, but we need to have a plan and have a 100% chance of winning. Otherwise, I won't make a move. Then, my lord, what do you think we should do? Recuperate, Jiang Feng said without hesitation. A while ago, my royal army fought against Li Fan and lost many generals. What we need to do now is to recuperate. At the very least, we need to nurture some powerful generals. My lord is right. Shui Wuxin nodded. My royal army indeed needs some powerful warriors. Originally, there were still some experts in the White Tiger Hall, but after Sima Hui took office, he has been suppressing them. In my opinion, this is a good opportunity to mobilize them. Then I'll handle this matter for my lord. Shui Wuxin understood and cupped her hands. The White Tiger Hall's people were scattered all over China. I'm willing to find them one by one. As expected of my trusted subordinate, Jiang Feng was very touched. He stretched out his hands and held Shui Wuxin's hands, causing Shui Wuxin's heart to beat faster. It's good to have you by my side. My lord, you're too polite. This is what I should do. You don't understand how important you are to me. Jiang Feng sighed. Shui Wuxin was also very emotional and said, My lord, no matter where you go, I'm willing to be by your side. I'll be at your beck and call and take the lead. Don't say that. I actually hope that you can protect yourself. If anything happens to you, my heart will ache. I understand, my lord. Then I'll go to work. Go. Jiang Feng watched Shui Wuxin leave. After Shui Wuxin left, he suddenly started to walk towards the mountain. The scenery along the way was very beautiful. Jiang Feng was not in a hurry. He walked on the mountain while playing. When he was hungry, he would eat at the roadside stalls. He was like a tourist, playing while hurrying on his way. When he was halfway up the mountain, he saw many tourists queuing in front of shop to buy something. The queue was like a long dragon, and it stretched very far. Jiang Feng was a little curious. He could not help but walk up and pull a girl to ask, Beautiful lady, may I know what you're buying? The girl was displeased to be disturbed. However, when she raised her head and saw a handsome man standing in front of her, she immediately became happy again. Was this a romantic encounter? They're selling an autographed photo of Li Fan. Oh? Jiang Feng's interest was piqued. He quickened his steps and arrived in front of the vendor. The people queuing behind him were unhappy and shouted at him. Hey, what are you doing? Don't cut the line. Everyone, please calm down. I'm not buying anything. I'm just asking a few questions. Jiang Feng smiled warmly. For some reason, his smile made the people behind him quiet down. Chapter 1286. These people were secretly thinking, what is the background of this little brother in front of them? His aura is a bit different from others. Let's see what he is going to do. If you want to buy something, please queue up. The vendor was a middle-aged uncle. He was already very busy and had made a lot of money. His face was full of smiles. Queue up, Jiang Feng sneered. He lowered his head and picked up the signed photo on the stall. The photo is real, but this signature is not written by Li Fan. Jiang Feng's words caused a commotion among the tourists. Hey, don't talk nonsense. This is my personal signature. The uncle hurriedly shouted. If you can't afford it, don't talk nonsense. I'm a chef in the villa and got these signatures through my connections. If you talk nonsense again, I will beat you up. Really? You know martial arts? Jiang Feng had a smile on his face. Ha! In our villa, even an auntie sweeping the floor would know a move or two. The uncle sneered. Don't provoke me. Otherwise, I will use monkey fist to punch you in the eye. Li Fan is my sworn brother. I'm the commander of the royal guards, Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng pointed at the badge on his chest. My brother does no ape strike technique, but it is not some monkey fist. Setting up a stall here to deceive people and ruin my brother's reputation. You deserve to be punished. Jiang Feng's words caused the uncle to break out in cold sweat. You're talking nonsense. What evidence do you have? Ha! Jiang Feng's body lightly jumped. Under the exclamation of the crowd, he jumped 3 meters high, plucked a cherry leaf from his head, and flicked it. Bang! The cherry leaf created a dent on the stone wall, scaring the uncle so much that he shrank his neck. The tourists were also praising. This is real kung fu. This is the evidence, Jiang Feng leisurely said. The uncle didn't dare to speak anymore. He picked up his things and ran. If I see you lying here again, I won't let you off easily. Jiang Feng lightly shouted, but it was like thunder, causing the ears of the uncle to buzz. The surrounding tourists all applauded and praised Jiang Feng. Someone even recorded everything and posted it on the internet. Jiang Feng acted as if he had just done something trivial. He patted the dust off his body and stood still amidst the applause of the crowd. He cupped his hands towards the crowd, and with a single sentence, he suppressed the applause of the crowd. Everyone, I am a commander of the Imperial Army, Jiang Feng. I am also the sworn brother of the 7 Chivalry Villas Villa Master, Li Fan. I'm not talented, but I'm in charge of this Wuling. If any of you have any difficulties in the future, feel free to look for me at the Royal Guards and report my name. The Royal Guards will naturally resolve your problems and ensure the safety of your families. Pa pa pa. The applause around them became even more enthusiastic. The girl who had been questioned by Jiang Feng before was even more infatuated. She even went up to Jiang Feng and invited him to take a picture. Jiang Feng very amiably agreed. Many people came over to take photos with Jiang Feng, and Jiang Feng agreed to all of them. As the highest commander of the Royal Guards, he did not put on any airs at all. After taking photos with the tourists, the sky was getting dark. Jiang Feng continued to walk up the mountain. Xiaohou was already standing in front of the mountain gate. She extended her hand to invite Jiang Feng. Commander Jiang, welcome. Sorry for not coming out to greet you. You're too kind. I came uninvited and disturbed the villa. Jiang Feng was very polite. He cupped his hands and looked apologetic. I heard that the villa has beautiful scenery, and I miss my brother, Li Fan, so I wanted to come up and take a look. My master has always been hospitable. Moreover, you're his sworn brother. After Xiaohou finished speaking, she led Jiang Feng into the depths of the villa. The 7 Chivalry Villa is indeed well managed. Looking at the villa that was like a paradise, Jiang Feng was full of smiles. It would be great if I could stay here for a long time. It's a pity that I have an important position and can't get away from it. If you like it here, I'll ask someone to prepare the best room for you to stay in for a long time. There's no need for that. Thank you for the trouble. Jiang Feng hurriedly waved his hand. How many times can I come here? It's better not to waste the room. This time, I'm also planning to take a look and chat with my brother. I'll go down the mountain tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, my master isn't in the villa today. I've already sent him a message. Why don't you stay for a few more days? He'll come back as soon as possible. Let my brother be busy. It's fine even if he's not here. I'll take a walk around the villa and go down a mountain tomorrow morning. To tell you the truth, I snuck out. There are many things waiting for me to do in the royal army. Since that's the case, I won't keep you any longer." As soon as Xiaoho's voice fell, she suddenly turned her head and looked up. A woman's figure suddenly descended from the sky. She struck out with a mantis fist and went straight for Jiang Feng's forehead. However, at the same time, a masked woman appeared. She lifted her leg and kicked away the fatal punch. "What's the meaning of this?" Jiang Feng asked with a surprised expression. "Miss Jean, what are you doing?" Xiaoho asked as she looked at Jiang Yi, who remained silent, and then at Su Hisao, who took 2 steps back. "Xiaoho, don't block me. I'm going to kill this bastard." Jean Kumo's eyes turned red when she saw Jiang Feng. This was the guy who had led the army and killed many of Yi Jian's brothers. "Jean Kumo, have you forgotten the Villa Master's rules?" Xiaoho frowned. "He said that anyone who enters the villa is a guest of the villa and is not to cause trouble. Of course I know the rules, but I can't care about that now that my enemy is here," Jean Kumo said and tried to get close again. But with a clang, a black sword stabbed into the ground in front of her. Jiang Yi stood on the sword and blocked her way. "Get out of my way." Jean Kumo knew that she was no match for this sword-bearing disciple. But Jiang Feng was here. She would not be satisfied if she did not take revenge. "It was the Villa Master who helped you in your most difficult time," Xiaoho reminded her. "Take it as giving face to the Villa Master. Please leave." Kumo, come back." Luo Shuo's shout came from afar. Jean Kumo clenched her fists and stomped her feet before turning to leave. "I'm sorry to have startled you." Xiaoho cupped her hands at Jiang Feng and apologized. "It's all right. Aren't there experts in the villa protecting me very well?" Jiang Feng said as his gaze fell on Jiang Yi. "Heroine, can you let me see your true appearance?" "Sir, she's a sword-bearing disciple of our villa. But her face was disfigured, so she doesn't want to show it to others. Please forgive her," Xiaoho said hurriedly. "Hey, I just feel that she looks familiar. I seem to have seen her somewhere before." Jiang Yi ignored him and turned to leave, quickly disappearing into the darkness. "Butler Xia, may I know the name of this sword-bearing disciple?" Chapter 1287. Xia Yi was also intelligent. She smiled and asked, "Since Master Jiang is so concerned, do you want to poach people from my villa?" "Aha, how could that be?" Jiang Feng laughed dryly and quickly avoided this topic. "I'm just a little curious." "All right, housekeeper Xia, is it convenient for you to take me to the martial arts field?" "Of course, please follow me, Master Jiang." The moment Xia Yi turned around, her eyes flashed with a hint of smugness. She led Jiang Feng all the way to the martial arts field. The sky had just turned dark, and there were still a few disciples practicing with Li Xiaohu. And the news of Jiang Feng going up the mountain had already spread throughout the villa. Li Xiaohu glanced at this guy and did not take him to heart. He continued to supervise his junior brothers and sisters practicing martial arts. "Sai, this is the only branch left in the martial arts world. I've troubled my brother," Jiang Feng said hypocritically. "I didn't expect that the martial arts world would fall to such a state. Although I want to stop him, I can't do anything. But today, I become the commander, so I have some power. When my brother comes back, I'll have to trouble housekeeper Xia to tell him that I'm willing to mend our relationship and build a better martial arts world together." "That's great." Xia knew it was nonsense, but she still smiled. If the Villa Master knew, he would be very happy. Yes, I look forward to the martial arts world restoring its former glory," Jiang Feng said with a smile and touched his lower abdomen. "After walking for a day, I'm a little hungry. I'm really disappointing. I've already ordered the kitchen to prepare a meal for you. Please follow me." Xia brought Jiang Feng all the way to the cafeteria. The chefs in this cafeteria were personally invited by Imperial concubine Zhou, and each of them had superb cooking skills. According to Li Fan, practicing martial arts was a hard job, so the food must be good. The disciples all ate to their satisfaction, so practicing martial arts didn't seem so hard. The cafeteria prepared 4 dishes and 1 soup for Jiang Feng, which met the standard. There was nothing wrong with it. "Our food is also good," Jiang Feng praised Xia Yi while eating The Seven Nights Villa is really good. It makes people enjoy it so much that they forget to go home. As long as you're satisfied. After chatting with Jiang Feng for a long time, Xiaohou still maintained her smile. These vegetables are all grown in our garden on the mountain. We even have a greenhouse so that we can have fruits and vegetables all year round. In addition, the pigs, cows, and sheep are also raised in the back mountains. They are pure green and the meat is very good. That's great. Jiang Feng was very envious. I like pure green food. The food safety in the country these days is too worrying. The Seven Nights Mountain Villa is the best. Healthy food. Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly started foaming at the mouth. His eyes widened, and his expression became ferocious. His hands desperately clutched at his throat, and he bumped into the table and chair, kneeling on the ground. Master Jiang? Xiaohou was shocked, and her heart was a little flustered. What was going on? Jiang Feng was poisoned? Impossible. The cafeteria was also guarded by disciples. Unauthorized people were not allowed to enter. Could it be that Yi Jian's men had snuck into the canteen and poisoned the food? It shouldn't be. After all, Jin Jima was rash, but Luo Xiuwu was a sensible person. She would never do such a thing to ruin Li Fan's reputation. Who did this? What should I do now? Xiaohou suddenly woke up and shouted loudly. Someone, carry Master Jiang to the infirmary. The Seven Nights Mountain Villa had its own medical facilities, and Takeda Lon personally oversaw it. In addition, there were several medical personnel hired with high salaries. It could be said to be foolproof. Moreover, there was Luo Xiaofeng's alchemy room, which could basically guarantee the health and hygiene of the villa. Jiang Feng was quickly sent to the infirmary. At this moment, a disciple at the foot of the mountain came to report. This is bad. There are many imperial guards and reporters at the foot of the mountain. They insist that we harm their master and want to hand Jiang Feng over. Xiaohou frowned deeply. At this moment, the other people in the villa had also arrived. Dong Yi walked at the front and directly gave an order. Have the disciples seal off the villa. Without my order, no one is allowed to enter. Not even a fly is allowed to enter. Yes, Dong Yi was appointed as a hall master by Li Fan, and he had the same level of authority as Li Fan. His words were definitely effective. Looking at Jiang Feng, who was lying there with his eyes rolled back, Dong Yi bitterly smiled. What good trick. This Jiang Feng is too difficult to deal with. Big brother Dong, what should we do? At this moment, Xiaohou was also at a loss. She had been extremely careful and did not expect Jiang Feng to do this. Seal off the villa first. In this state, Jiang Feng cannot be handed over. Once he is handed over, I'm afraid it will bring disaster to the villa. But the disciples can't hold on for long. I think it won't be long before the police arrive. Xiaohou calculated the time. Jiang Feng has already arranged everything. When the police arrive and see that the commander of the Imperial Guards was poisoned in my villa, this matter will be confirmed. Drug poisoning. Takeda Lon examined Jiang Feng. Even washing the intestines is useless. It seems to be some kind of Chinese poison that has penetrated into the bone marrow. Ruthless. Truly ruthless. Dong Yi could not help but give Jiang Feng a thumbs up. This fellow is ambitious. I'm convinced. Dying like this is the end of all troubles. Jin Hisao stood at the side, crossed his arms, and sneered. Serves him right. Mao Mao, don't talk nonsense. Luo Xiu reprimanded with an ugly expression. Jin Hisao shut his mouth. If anything happens to the commander of the Imperial Guards, the Seven Knights Villa will be finished. Long Fanyu was also a smart person. He reminded Jin Hisao, for the good of the villa, pray that this fellow will be fine. He definitely won't die. Dong Yi concluded. But before the villa is destroyed, he absolutely won't get better. Go and find Luo Xiaofeng. Xiaohou hurriedly urged people to find Luo Xiaofeng. Soon, this brother, dressed like a boiler worker, came over with a gourd. I heard about this matter. This is an antidote pill. It should be able to cure all poisons. Xiaohou hurriedly took the antidote pill and stuffed it into Jiang Feng's mouth. But Jiang Feng was still lying there with white foam coming out of his mouth. This is really strange. My antidote pill actually doesn't work. Who made this poison? Could it be Song Fuya? Luo, Xiao Feng muttered. Housekeeper Xia, we can't hold it anymore. The police are here. Another disciple came to report with a panicked expression. Got it. I'll go out and take a look. Xiaohou knew that she could not panic at this moment. She turned around and walked out the door. Dong Yi and the rest followed her out to see how they could block the people outside. Soon, only 2 disciples were left in the infirmary. Jiang Feng was still lying there. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. At this time, Jiang Yi walked in and waved his hand at the 2 disciples, indicating them to go out. Chapter 1288. Jiang Feng laid on the sickbed, foaming at the mouth. He looked as miserable as he could be, completely losing his handsome appearance. Jiang Yi stood in front of him. Seeing his appearance, she finally couldn't help but speak. Look at how miserable you are now. Jiang Feng's eyes were originally lifeless, but when he heard Jiang Ye's words, his eyes seemed to flash. If Jiang Shuitian knew that he gave birth to such a good-for-nothing son, he probably wouldn't be able to hold back his coffin. Jiang Feng suddenly wiped off the foam at the corner of his mouth, sat up, and looked at the young girl in front of him in shock. He couldn't control his emotions and grabbed the young girl's shoulders. Jiang Yi, is that you? Bang! Jiang Ye's essence chi flicked and shook off Jiang Feng's hand. She took 2 steps back and said to Jiang Feng, Go back. The next time you want to come, declare war openly. That way, I can still look up to you. After Jiang Yi finished speaking, she didn't give Jiang Feng a chance to speak and turned to leave the infirmary. Jiang Yi. Jiang Feng hurriedly ran out of the infirmary, but outside was a quiet courtyard with no one in sight. Jiang Yi, where are you? Jiang Feng kept searching in the villa with an anxious expression. At this time, the reporters and the royal guards finally rushed in. Hand over our commander-in-chief, a minister-level officer of the Imperial Army, was shouting out according to a script that had been written. The reporters at the side also used all kinds of flashes, shining on him and the people from the 7 Heroes Villa. But at this time, a familiar figure attracted his attention. His commander-in-chief was standing in the courtyard, shouting an unfamiliar name, as if he was looking for something. Jiang Yi, where are you? Jiang Yi. Jiang Feng was about to go crazy. He was desperately looking for traces of his sister. Was Jiang Yi really in the villa? Was she all right? Why was she here? Jiang Yi, where did you go? Quickly come out and let Big Brother see you. Jiang Feng was like an ant on a hot pan, and the royal guards were all dumbfounded. What was the script going to be? This was completely out of the script. Lord Jiang, are you feeling better? When Xiaohou saw Jiang Feng looking for Jiang Yi all over the courtyard, she knew what was going on. Looks like this time, Jiang Yi didn't hesitate to expose his identity to help resolve this crisis. However, it was not necessarily a good thing for Jiang Feng to know that his little sister was in the 7 Knights Villa. However, with Jiang Yi present, Jiang Feng would more or less restrain himself in the future. Since Lord Jiang is fine, follow them down the mountain. Xiaohou started to ask him to leave. Your subordinates have been waiting anxiously. Where's River Yi? Where was Jiang Yi? Hand her over. Jiang Feng grabbed Xiaohou's shoulders and roared at her. At that moment, Guan Wenbao raised his Yinhua blade and placed it on Jiang Feng's neck. Let go of Butler Xia. Guan Wenbao growled in a low voice. Oomph. Jiang Feng pinched the edge of the crescent blade with 4 fingers and pulled it into his hand. Old Guan lost his grip on his crescent blade, and Jiang Feng pulled it out of his hand. Guan Wenbao was shocked. Jiang Feng had such strength? He was about to use his qi when Xiaohou spoke. Enough. What do you want to do in front of so many people? Also, Lord Jiang, you're the commander of the royal guards and my master's sworn brother. That's why I'm treating you so kindly. But what do you mean by this? Do you want to be the enemy of our villa? Since Jiang Feng was standing in front of them, Xiaohou didn't need to be polite anymore. Her attitude became unyielding. I just want my sister back. Frowning, Jiang Feng suppressed the fire in his heart and said word by word, Let her come out. We'll have a good talk. If she doesn't, what if she doesn't? As Xiaohou spoke, the hundreds of experts behind her all gathered their true qi and glared at Jiang Feng. Lord Jiang, do you think my master isn't here? If you want to touch the Seven Knights Villa for no reason, you'll have to ask the people here if they want to. You imprisoned my sister, Jiang Yi. I'm going to find her. Jiang Feng roared. Is that so? Do you have any evidence? Xiaohou questioned mercilessly. Even if you want to search, get a search warrant first. What do you want to do in front of these reporters? Just say it. Jiang Feng looked at the flashing lights around him and finally suppressed the anger in his heart. At least, he knew that Jiang Yi was still alive. Although he didn't know why she was in the villa, he would find out. Treat my sister well, or you'll have to bear the consequences. Jiang Feng turned around and waved his hand. Let's go. The group of royal guards had no choice but to act without justification. The Seven Knights Villa was not an ordinary family, and they could do whatever they wanted. The large group of people went down the mountain noisily. The reporters took photos for a while before following Xia Yi's kind suggestion and going down the mountain. Xia Yi heaved a sigh of relief after sending away all these pests. She cupped her hands and thanked Dong Yi, who was standing next to her. Thank you, Mr. Dong, for your advice. It's nothing. It's my duty. Dong Yi waved his hand. Since Jiang Ye's identity has been exposed, we have to be more vigilant. I think Jiang Feng won't let this go. Instruct the disciples to strengthen the patrols day and night. Don't let anyone sneak in. Unfortunately, the disciples are still not mature enough. Xia Yi shook her head. If only we could transfer the Li family's guards back from Li Family Island. The Li family's guard was a super guard group that by Lin Luo personally built for Li Fan. However, it was fine in Li Family Island. If it was moved to China, it would definitely not work. After all, with a full body of high-tech equipment, it would be like an anti-government force. It's okay. Moron loved to watch the show for half a day. At this time, she gave a suggestion. I heard from Dragon Girl that among the 12 heavenly generals, Pig Zhang Shinran's ability is mental power. She can cover the entire villa with her mental power as a barrier. If an outsider enters, she will be the first to sense it. 12 heavenly generals. Looks like I can only let Junior Brother be thick-skinned and ask General Rand for them. These 12 heavenly generals were all treasures of the government. There was already a Dragon Girl by Li Fan's side. If you were to borrow another person to be stationed here, General Rand would definitely feel the pinch. Explain the pros and cons. They will naturally agree. Moron loved to have the best relationship with Dragon Girl. She began to guarantee. That's a good idea. Big Brother Guan, are you okay? Xia Yi looked at Guan Wenbao with concern. Yang Shuiwei was even more nervous. She was afraid that something would happen to her sweetheart. I'm fine, but that Jiang Feng's skills have improved a lot. Guan Wenbao frowned. This man is indeed a powerful opponent. Chapter 1289. What a good Jiang Feng. This move is really beautiful. After Li Fan finished filming and returned to the villa, he heard the whole story and angrily slapped the table. I have already asked General Rand for him. He will be sent over in a few days. However, Jiang Feng is also a problem. He is far more difficult to deal with than Murong Bo, Sima Hui, and the others. This person is indeed very scheming. We have to be careful. Dong Yi sat next to him and touched his chin. I still suggest that, brother. Make the first move and gain the upper hand. Li Fan glanced at Jiang Yi, who was standing on his right side. She was like a statue, standing there without saying a word. Li Fan felt a bit sorry for her. Jiang Yi did not want to see her brother. This time for the villa, she actually made such a big sacrifice. The Seven Knights Villa is still recuperating. It is not suitable to confront the Imperial Army. Li Fan said, Our current enemy is not the Imperial Army. However, this group of guys is just a group of jumping clowns who would have thought that now Jiang Feng is in power. This is not fun. Villa Master, what should we do next? Please tell us. Dong, you could only help to come up with ideas. The real general direction still needs to be decided by Li Fan himself. First, tighten the defense. The focus of our attention is Dragon God number 1. Li Fan reminded everyone, now that the country is in trouble, the hatred within the nation can be put aside for now. Okay, we will listen to you. Dong Yi nodded. Everyone in the meeting hall, discussed the development plan of the villa for a while. Only when it was almost night did they disperse. After everyone left, Jiang Yi still stayed by Li Fan's side, silently making tea for him. Jiang Yi, after seeing him, what do you think? Master, it is still the same feeling as before. Jiang Yi honestly replied, I don't like him. He lacks the backbone of a martial artist. Although I don't like him, I have to say he is quite amazing. Li Fan said very justly. His living environment is much more difficult than mine. That is why he became so unscrupulous. Master, he wants to harm you. Why are you still speaking up for him? Jiang Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I guess that's just how I am. Li Fan shrugged. Master, you'll be at a disadvantage if you do this. That's not right. I, the little overlord, have some fame in the underworld. Who dares to make me suffer? Li Fan laughed. Let me tell you, before Li Fan could finish his words, the small door beside him was pushed open, and Murong anxiously walked in. Brother-in-law, save me. What's wrong? Who bullied you? When Li Fan saw Murong's anxious appearance, he couldn't help but feel a little distressed. It's not me. It's big sister, Murong. What happened to her? Didn't she leave the country a while ago? Murong took out her phone. I have big sister's WeChat. I kept in touch with her a few days ago. But recently, I lost contact with her. Something must have happened to her. After all, their sisterhood was deep. Although they had a falling out last time, the two girls had now resumed their correspondence. Li Fan was not surprised. How could a family have any overnight hatred? Something must have happened. Li Fan felt that Murong might be overthinking. No, big sister is going to do a very dangerous mission. I'm worried about her safety, so I made an agreement with her that she must send me a message every day. If she doesn't receive the message, then something must have happened to her. Oh, Li Fan pondered for a moment. Murong's worry was reasonable. Her big sister was a person who either did not say it, or she would definitely do it. Now that she began to lose contact, it meant that she really encountered some difficulties. Big sister must have had an accident. Murong tugged at Li Fan's sleeve. Brother-in-law, I beg you, hurry and save big sister. Okay, where is she? I'll go and find her. How could he not help Murong love when she begged him? Even if it wasn't for her, he would still help if something happened to Murong Ying. She's in South Korea. Murong AI brought up the map on her phone and pointed at it. Here? Jiang Yi glanced at it and asked. Murong Ying went to Yuezhou. Yes, this should be the place where South Korea is preparing to install Archimedes. The so-called Archimedes was an anti-missile system developed by the United States. It looked like an anti-missile system, but it was actually used to detect the intelligence of the surrounding countries. Once South Korea installed Archimedes, the surveillance network would cover China, and Huaxiao would no longer have any secrets. Li Fan also understood. Could it be that Murong Ying went to resolve this matter? Who was she representing? Was it a secret mission given to her by the royal military? However, the royal military belonged to the Dove faction. Would the Dove faction go against Archimedes? It didn't make sense. Xiao AI, who sent your big sister? No one. She went on her own. Murong Love shook her head, her eyes filled with worry. Big sister said that she was just doing her duty as the chief of the martial arts world. This silly girl. Li Fan frowned deeply. That place must be filled with layers of checkpoints. Not only were there the armed forces of South Korea, but there might also be American forces involved. Every country had their own hidden forces. Even Murong Ying would be at a disadvantage if these forces were to clash with each other. Brother-in-law, I can only rely on you. Murong Love had no other way. Li Fan was the only person she could turn to. I understand. Don't worry, I'll definitely bring her back safely. But it's been a few days. Could something have happened to big sister? Don't worry. Murong Ying is a grandmaster after all. Her life shouldn't be in danger for the time being. Li Fan trusted Murong Ying. Just wait here. There's no time to lose. I'll set off now. If you're going out, bring it with you. Just as Li Fan was about to leave the hall, the dragon lady walked over. She raised a sword and handed it to Li Fan. This was the Shang Fong sword. Because Li Fan was still in his internship, it was usually handed to the Dragon Lady for safekeeping. Today, she actually took the initiative to give it to Li Fan. It was really rare. When you go out this time, you'll be representing Huaxia. I've seen the news for the past few days. Those bastards actually dared to challenge Huaxia. Don't stand on ceremony. Use the might of the Shangfang sword to shock them. The Dragon Lady patted her chest. I'll give you the authority. The Dragon Lady had a lot of authority. She was even more powerful than Li Fan. If she gave him the authority, then there would be no problem. Li Fan nodded. He took the Shangfang sword and hung it on his waist. Brother-in-law, be careful. I'll leave big sister to you. Murong Love couldn't help much. She could only watch as Li Fan left. Okay, wait for me. I'll be back soon. Li Fan waved his hand and said goodbye to everyone. Then he walked out of the hall and asked Big Dipper to arrange for him to go to South Korea through the escort route. Chapter 1290. The Lugo Corporation was a large national corporation in South Korea. When they heard that South Korea was going to build the Archimedes system, the Lugo Corporation decided to use the golf course in Uejo as the base. To South Korea, the Lugo Corporation was patriotic, but to countless Huaxia people, it was helping the wicked. Once the Archimedes system was built, Huaxia would never have any secrets. To change this, Murong Ying went to Uejo alone. However, even with Murong Ying's strength, there was no news of her even after so long. That made Li Fan a little worried. There were not many people in the world who could defeat Murong Ying. And in this world, who could go against Murong Ying? A fishing boat slowly docked at the port Uejo. As usual, Li Fan walked to the port in a black tracksuit with the logo of the Seven Heroes Villa printed on the back. There were not many people at the port. It was remote and well hidden, so it seemed like no one came here. This was a secret route discovered by the security agency, so it was very safe. Villa Master, if there's anything, contact me with the satellite phone. The subordinate who was responsible for sending Li Fan over said to him, Okay, thank you. Li Fan cupped his fists at the subordinate, looked at the navigation map in his hand, and walked into the distance. This place is quite big. Li Fan could not help but mutter. Sir, you don't belong to this place, right? It seemed like, because of the military base, there were almost no people living in Uejo. For South Korea, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, it was rare. The place was filled with wilderness and lush greenery. Birds and cicadas chirped in their ears, and their bodies felt refreshed by the breeze. It was quite a comfortable place. However, at that moment, a figure slowly walked out from behind a tree. She was about 30 years old, and she was a charming woman in a black leather jacket. She looked at Li Fan and asked slowly. She spoke in Korean, and Li Fan could not understand her. She crossed her arms, thought for a moment, and changed to Mandarin. So, you're from Huaxia. Exactly. Li Fan didn't hide his identity at all. Please tell me where Archimedes is. Aren't you a little stupid? The man looked at Li Fan mockingly. We are the protectors of this place. You want to compete with me? Li Fan looked at him and was a little surprised. Looking at you, you seem to be a martial artist, right? Not a martial practitioner, but an ancient martial artist. The woman immediately curled her lips. Huaxia's martial arts were obviously passed down from our stick nation. You should respect history and tradition. Bullshit, Li Fan scolded. You are indeed from South Korea. How shameless. You're the shameless ones. My martial arts are the real ancient martial arts. The woman stretched out her hand and gathered her energy. When you see my power, you will understand what it means to be orthodox. All right, then you have to let me have a good look. Li Fan stood on the spot and hooked his finger at the woman. Haha, although you are young, I will not go easy on you. As the woman spoke, she suddenly leaped up, raised her right leg high, and slammed it down on Li Fan from midair. Most of the martial arts in South Korea were based on kicking techniques. There is a good saying that the hands were two doors and the legs were the only way to kick people. The kicking technique of South Korea could be said to have brought this into full play. The woman's kick was like a raised battle axe, and it instantly reached Li Fan's head. However, who was Li Fan? He was the protector of Huaxia and had the strength of a half-sage. How could he be hit so easily? Li Fan tilted his body slightly and dodged the woman's kick. At the same time, he grabbed the woman's collar with both hands and threw her to the ground. Bam! The woman's body landed heavily on the ground. Her face turned pale as she grimaced in pain. However, she reacted quickly. She endured the pain and rolled on the ground. Then, she swept her leg and tried to take down Li Fan. Li Fan was not an ordinary person. He already knew this kind of trick. He kicked the woman's face. Before the woman could finish her sweeping kick, she was already kicked to the ground by Li Fan. Li Fan did not even need to use the Nine Dragons spell to deal with these so-called ancient martial artists. The woman's body slid backward from Li Fan's kick, and a deep ravine appeared on the ground. You should go back and practice more. Li Fan retracted his leg and steadied himself. He looked at the woman lying in the distance and tried to persuade her. Asaba. The woman crawled up pathetically and yelled, "We, the South Korean ancient martial artists, are undefeatable." As she spoke, the veins on her face bulged. Li Fan felt that the strength in her body suddenly began to increase, and it had reached a shocking level. Dragon chip? Li Fan instinctively thought of that. That was a genetic weapon developed by Huaxia in America. Since Huaxia had already begun to equip it, America should have quite a lot in stock. It should not be difficult to equip their police dogs with some in the South Korean country. Soon, the enchanting woman's body began to swell. Soon, the muscles on her body exploded, and she became like a King Kong Barbie. It was as strange as one could imagine. I'll let you know what real ancient martial arts are. The woman roared like a tiger and instantly appeared in front of Li Fan. Her leg landed solidly on Li Fan's body. Because it was too fast, Li Fan did not have time to dodge and was sent sliding backward from the kick. Li Fan hurriedly put his arms in front of him to protect himself. Now that he was kicked, he felt a little numb. He could not help but feel that the woman's enhanced strength was a little terrifying. This type of genetic chip could stimulate the human body's potential to the extreme, erupting superhuman strength. However, this kind of power that was increased in a hurry would also cause terrible damage to the body and bring about unavoidable side effects. Did you see that? Your unorthodox Huaxia Kung Fu is useless now, isn't it? The woman mocked, and Li Fan followed suit. Relying on genetic weapons to increase your strength. And you have a nerve to mock us? Aren't you guys too shameless? How do you know about genetic weapons? The woman's face turned pale. Li Fan laughed loudly. If you don't want people to know, don't do it. Come, young master, I'll let you know who's orthodox. Go to hell. The woman leaped again and instantly appeared behind Li Fan. At the same time, she kicked Li Fan's lower back. Li Fan was one step faster. He leaned back and crashed into the woman's arms, his elbow hitting the woman's lower abdomen. Puffed. The woman spat out a mouthful of bitter saliva. That hit was not light. Chapter 1291. Pop. The woman's body was beaten like a shrimp and flew out. She crashed into a few trees and finally fell into the pit. Li Fan stretched out a hand towards the woman and activated Dragon Capture Hand. The woman was lifted up in the air and floated in front of Li Fan. What kind of martial art is this? The woman was beaten up quite badly. Now, all the chi in her body has dissipated. She has already returned to her previous appearance. Her clothes are also tattered and exposed, but it does not arouse the interest of Li Fan at all. She struggled in the air in fear, but it was to no avail. You guys have inner strength, but do not know how to use it. Back then, you guys only learned a few moves in China, and you think you're the orthodox? What a joke. Li Fan's voice is cold and carries a hint of ridicule. Damn Chinese, you guys won't be happy for long. The woman cursed. When our Archimedes is completed, your Chinese will be equivalent to a naked prostitute exposed in front of us. And that dragon god number 1 of yours with Archimedes, it will not have a chance to fly. Don't worry, you will be one step ahead of it. After Li Fan finished speaking, he stretched out his right hand and twisted. With a crack, the woman's neck was directly twisted. Her head tilted to the side, and it seems that she is dead. Li Fan threw her corpse to the side, then slightly bent his knees and fiercely bounced up. He stepped on the cloud ladder and bounced in the air. In the blink of an eye, he jumped to a height of 100 meters. He filled his body with elemental energy. Time seemed to slow down, causing him to pause in the air for a short while. Taking this opportunity, Li Fan looked into the distance, looking for the direction where Archimedes might be. The surroundings are all wilderness, but there is a small town in the distance. But the town is empty, and the few residents here have already been forced to move away. 4 anti-missile and reconnaissance devices like Archimedes. Once a real war breaks out, this place will definitely be the first priority to be destroyed. Then, the residents living nearby will become the so-called cannon fodder. Looks like it is still not high enough. When Li Fan landed on the ground, he let out a long sigh. There must be a military base around Archimedes, but with this height, it should not be possible. What can I do? Li Fan was worried about Murong-ing and was at his wit's end. The Uesho was not small. It was obviously unscientific to search a military base in a blanket manner. Moreover, Murong-ing might not necessarily be in the military base. If he couldn't find her, how could he explain it to Murong? The world was so vast that it was difficult to even find a military base, let alone a living person. Murong-ing is a master of her generation. Even if she is captured, she can't hide her aura. Li Fan thought about it and decided to try another method. It was different from looking for Lu Wanner. Although Lu Wanner was also a martial practitioner, her aura was very weak, so it was harder to find her. However, it was different from Murong-ing. She was a master of her generation. Her aura was strong, and it could not be easily hidden. Li Fan sat cross-legged, crossed his arms, and began to feel the flow of the air around him. When Li Fan was fully focused, everything around him seemed to enter his heart. The wind blew, the grass moved, the birds flew, and the beasts moved. Time seemed to have stopped flowing. Li Fan felt that there were indeed some powerful auras in the vicinity. One should not underestimate the heroes of the world. Even in South Korea, there were still some powerful experts. However, their auras were sometimes strong and sometimes weak. They were not as sharp as Murong-ing's. Li Fan gradually extended his senses, allowing himself to become one with heaven and earth to search for Murong-ing's aura. Back in Japan, when he used the star Luo power, he could even sense the existence of the entire city. Now, he was much stronger than he was back then. How could a small Uezhou prefecture be a threat to him? Li Fan circulated his energy completely, as if encompassing heaven and earth. A wave of energy approached from afar, as if it was right in front of Li Fan. Li Fan felt as if he was standing under a cherry blossom tree. The cherry blossoms were falling, and it was a beautiful sight. Found it. Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes. This was indeed Murong-ing's aura. There was no mistaking it. Murong-ing, wait for me. I'm coming. Li Fan used Xingong, stepping on grass without bending, stepping on water without falling. He rushed toward Murong-ing's location at lightning speed. General Kim, how long will it take to build this base? An official in a suit, surrounded by a group of soldiers, walked beside an old man who looked like a general. One of them was a commissioner of the government, and the other was a military general in charge of executing the project. Commissioner Lee, leave it to me. What else is there to worry about? General Kim snorted. I've been in the army for 50 years. In your eyes, don't tell me I don't even have the ability to do this? No. General Kim misunderstood. I didn't mean it that way. Commissioner Lee hurriedly explained. I'm also anxious. The higher-ups are pressing me. General Kim, do you think it's easy for me to be a commissioner? Right now, China has completely sealed us off. Our days are not good either. Don't we have the aid from the U.S.? What are you afraid of? The U.S. opened their big mouth and said that they would give us aid. But when it comes to it, we won't even see a dime. Commissioner Lee rolled his eyes and spread out his hands. Right now, we need to finish Archimedes as soon as possible. At that time, China will come and beg us. In a few days, we still need some final adjustments. But this part of the adjustment still needs to be done by the U.S. researchers. They'll be here soon. All right, didn't you guys catch a Chinese woman a few days ago? How's her place? Oh, that's the leader of China's martial arts world. She's amazing. Many of my men died in her hands. If it weren't for that sound wave system, we wouldn't have been able to catch her. Hee, no one is a match for our South Korea. What leader of China's martial arts world? That's all there is to it. Of course, she's trying to mess with us. Why don't you take a look at where their martial arts came from? We were the ones who taught them. The two of them became more and more excited as they talked, as if the South Korea was going to unify the world. In front of them was an anti-missile vehicle. That was the Archimedes system. However, there were still some final adjustments and the activation password in the hands of the U.S. government. Once it was completed, China would no longer have any secrets. With this, China will submit to us sooner or later. Both of them were very pleased and waited for Archimedes to be completed. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky and stepped on top of Archimedes, coldly looking down. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt your sweet dreams. Chapter 1292. The two of them looked up, and their expressions darkened. The person who landed was an Asian man in black sportswear, but he spoke in Mandarin. Who's there? Following General Jin's shout, the surrounding soldiers all raised their guns. Don't take out these toys. The person who landed was none other than Li Fan. With a wave of his hand, the guns in the hands of the soldiers flew out and landed on the ground. What? Impossible. Everyone was shocked. They did not understand what was going on. Who are you? Commissioner Li was trembling a little, but General Jin grabbed his hand and helped him stabilize his body and mind, then shouted at Li Fan. Tell me your name. Clang. A sword stabbed into the ground right in front of General Kim. Even General Kim could not help but break out in a cold sweat when he saw the shiny, golden sword. What was going on? This was a military base, and they did not even know that someone had arrived in front of them? I am China's Shang Fong sword. Shang Fong sword. It's the man who defeated Takeda. Fuck, why is he here? The surrounding South Koreans started discussing. Shang Fong sword. So, it's you. General Kim was someone who had seen the world. He frowned and looked at Li Fan. I didn't expect you to be so young. Are you here to deal with Archimedes? That's part of the reason, but I also have a personal motive. What motive? General Kim asked instinctively. Everyone, you've captured my fiancée. Shouldn't you let her go? Fiancée. Oh, right. She has another identity. She's the chief of the martial arts community in China. Li Fan's smile sent chills down everyone's spines. That woman? General Kim and Commissioner Li looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. What a guy. He came all the way here for his fiancée? What Shang Fong sword? Even you have to admit defeat when you're with me. General Jin waved his hand. Do you think there's no one in our stick nation? As soon as he finished speaking, 4 strong men in military uniforms slowly walked over. The 4 of them walked in unison, and the aura they exuded was extraordinary. It seemed like they had a powerful background. These 4 are the emissaries of justice that we painstakingly nurtured. General Jin smiled confidently. The 4 of them are more than enough to kill you. Really? I'd like to try. Li Fan landed and stepped on the hilt of his sword as he looked at the 4 cold-faced men around him. Come, brothers, who wants to go first? Mandarin was popular in South Korea a few years ago, and the people here learned some of it. Therefore, they could understand what Li Fan was saying. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, the 4 of them stood there motionlessly, looking at him coldly. You guys go ahead. Let him know the power of an envoy of justice. General Jin ordered, and the 4 of them suddenly charged at Li Fan together. The 4 of them were extremely fast, as if they had cheats. They reached Li Fan in an instant and threw a punch at Li Fan at the same time. Clang! The 4 punches landed on Li Fan's body at the same time. However, Li Fan kept his hands in his pockets and took all 4 punches with his body. He channeled his primordial chi to protect his body, as if he was wearing a layer of armor to protect himself. The 4 of them took a step back at the same time, and General Jin frowned. Is this kid's protective skill that strong? However, Li Fan was also at a disadvantage. The 4 of them had impressive arm strength, and Li Fan's chi and blood surged from their attacks. The 4 of you are going at me together? That's pretty rude. Li Fan sized up the four of them seriously. I'm afraid these four aren't humans, right? You have a good eye. General Jean chuckled. These four are all modified androids. They've integrated our stick nation's martial arts techniques and powerful technology. No one is a match for them. I wonder how the four of them will fare against my wife. Li Fan suddenly asked. General Jean did not say anything. All right, I understand. Li Fan laughed. Come, I'll give you 1 minute to release my wife. 1 minute? They can only hold on for 1 minute. As Li Fan spoke, he leaped and instantly appeared in front of one of the androids. That android stretched out his arms to block in front of him. Meanwhile, Li Fan had already kicked his arms, causing the android to take a step back, leaving him wide open. Li Fan then turned around and kicked the android's head away with a dragon-slaying platform. However, another android had already arrived behind Li Fan and stretched out his right palm. A white light cannon shot out from his palm and was fired at Li Fan. Li Fan's body spun and dodged the opponent's light cannon in the air. At the same time, he struck out with his palm and landed it on the android's chest. Bang! The android's upper body was blasted into pieces, leaving no bones behind. Come back. General Jean finally realized that the situation was not good. This kid was so difficult to deal with. There were still 2 emissaries of justice left. He could not let them die in vain. Speaking of which, there were originally 108 emissaries of justice in this place. Now, there were only 4 left. The reason was that they were all destroyed by that so-called female chief. Prepare the sonic cannon. General Jean waved his hand, and a few armored vehicles suddenly drove over, surrounding Li Fan in the center. What? Are you trying to hit me with the vehicles? Li Fan looked around. You'll know soon enough. Brat, General Jean said and gave the order. Fire the cannon. As soon as he said that, a trumpet-like weapon suddenly popped out from the armored vehicles in all directions. In an instant, an extremely powerful sonic wave burst out. Like a wave, it struck Li Fan's body in an instant. Li Fan felt as if his body was in a raging wave, causing Li Fan to lose his balance and directly kneeled on the ground. He hurriedly stabilized his body. With one hand holding the sword, he stabbed it into the ground to support his body. Damn it! Li Fan secretly cursed in his heart. He finally understood why Murong died. People who practice martial arts can use their vitality to protect their body. However, the only thing that cannot be protected is their ears. The higher one's martial arts, the better one's hearing. To them, this kind of sonic wave is simply a terrifying killing weapon. Murong Ying's martial arts is very high. This move must be very profound. Haha, what Chinese divine sword? Obediently accept your death. General Jean and Commissioner Li laughed. They were very proud of themselves. Humph. However, Li Fan sneered. This move may be very effective against Murong Ying, but he just thought of a way to restrain it. Chapter 1293. In addition to Yuan Qi, Li Fan is also proficient in the spiritual force that Wang Luo helped him develop. He directly used his spiritual force to seal his hearing, and the surrounding world became quiet. Although the sound wave hit Li Fan, his body was protected by Yuan Qi, so he was naturally unharmed. Li Fan slowly stood up under everyone's astonished gaze. Although he couldn't see what those people were talking about, it doesn't matter anymore. Li Fan stretched out his right hand. The surrounding soil on the ground flew up and quickly condensed into a stone sword in his palm. Little fourth-style, dragon subduing sword. This palm-sized stone sword directly flew out of his hand, instantly crossed a distance of tens of meters, and directly pierced through an armored vehicle. Boom! The armored vehicle instantly exploded, scaring Commissioner Li. And Li Fan continued to control the dragon's subduing sword and pierced through several armored vehicles. This thick armor can't stop Li Fan's stone sword. Explosions one after another. Commissioner Li was somewhat unable to stand still. What should I do? Seeing Li Fan pierce through the last armored vehicle, Commissioner Li hurriedly shouted, Commissioner, don't panic. I still have a last resort. General Jean said and ordered his men. Is it over? Li Fan once again released his hearing and asked. Of course, come and see what this is. General Jean clapped his hands, the door of a truck next to him opened, and a shelf was pushed out from inside. Li Fan looked at it, and suddenly became a little excited. The one on the shelf is none other than his former fiancée, Murong Ying. She is still wearing a beautiful cheongsam. Even if she fainted, she is still so beautiful that no one dares to profane her. Put her down. Seeing Murong Ying like this, Li Fan immediately got angry. His fighting spirit is quite strong, while General Jean sneered again and again. Fine, I will do as you wish. Put her down. He gave a look to his men, who took out a strange remote control and pressed it twice. Murong Ying, who was unconscious on the shelf, suddenly woke up. She opened her eyes and looked at Li Fan. However, her eyes were lifeless, completely different from Murong Ying's usual piercing gaze. Murong Ying, Li Fan called out twice, but Murong Ying did not say a word, as if she did not know Li Fan. What did you do to him? Li Fan frowned and questioned. We have a chip that can be implanted into a person's brain. General Jean chuckles. Using this, you can increase a person's strength, and at the same time, you can control a person's brain. Remember, the person standing in front of you now is not your fiancé, but a warrior of our South Korea. No matter how powerful you are, can you compare to her? While speaking, Murong Ying had already left her stance. She stretched out a hand and pointed at Li Fan. The cherry blossom sword aura that filled the sky rushed toward Li Fan. How dare you guys control her? You deserve to die. Murong Ying was extremely conceited. If she found out that she was being controlled, she would definitely wish she was dead. How could Murong Ying's pride be tarnished by these people? Li Fan leaped more than 5 meters into the air, then slammed his palm down. Li Fan did not want to hurt Murong Ying, so he used a weakened version of the Dragon King seal in an attempt to pin Murong Ying to the ground with his powerful primordial chi. However, Murong Ying is Murong Ying. Even if she was being controlled, she still had the instinctive reflexes of a powerful person. The cherry blossom sword aura wrapped around her, shredding the surrounding primordial chi. Then, Murong Ying jumped on the spot and leaped into the air, catching up to Li Fan. Murong Ying slashed her hand, and Murong's sword finger went straight for Li Fan's throat. Good timing. Li Fan could not help but sigh. No matter what, Murong Ying's strength was always amazing. He did not dare to hold back. Following that, he used Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment and chopped at Murong Ying's sword finger. Clang, clang, clang. In an instant, the two of them exchanged more than 10 moves. Waves of air constantly exploded in the air, causing the eyes of the people below to widen. Good heavens, is this the legendary fight between immortals? Li Fan and Murong Ying exchanged blows while falling to the ground. The two of them landed on the ground at the same time, then their palms met. Bang! The two of them used their inner force. However, in this aspect, Murong Ying was obviously inferior to Li Fan. Although Murong Ying's inner force was superior to Li Fan's at the start, it was unable to withstand Li Fan's hard work and fortuitous encounters. Later on, Li Fan cultivated the 9 Truths technique and achieved great success in his primordial chi. He was already a half-saint, much stronger than Murong Ying. Now that they were using their inner force, Murong Ying could only hold on for half a minute before she was sent flying. What's going on? Is the warrior you recruited not good enough? Commissioner Lee's face was ashen as he looked at General Jean. Don't be afraid. The chip can still increase your strength. General Jean snatched the remote control and pressed a button. Murong Ying shouted, and a 5-meter-tall cherry blossom war god appeared behind her. It picked up a cherry blossom sword and slashed at Li Fan's head. This cherry blossom war god is real. Li Fan laughed loudly. The Valkyrie appeared right after. She raised her palm and slapped the cherry blossom sword. Clang! The cherry blossoms scattered. The cherry blossom war god was slightly disorganized, but it quickly reformed. Murong Ying's eyes glowed red. She activated the cherry blossom war god and exchanged a few blows with Li Fan's Valkyrie. Bang, bang, bang. Explosions rang out in the air. The two of them were locked in a stalemate. However, Murong-ing did not have a mind, and Li Fan was holding back. Why do I feel that she can't win? Commissioner Li's frown deepened. What are you talking about? Of course it's that woman. I told you, the people from Huaxia are unreliable. We still have to use our Stick Nation's warriors. General Jean scoffed inwardly when he heard Commissioner Li's words. Almost all the Stick Nation's warriors were dead. Go and help. General Kim gave the order, and the two South Korean envoys of justice immediately appeared beside Li Fan in a flash. While Li Fan was fighting with Murong-ing, they stretched out their hands and aimed their palms at Li Fan. Bang, bang. Two light cannons exploded and hit Li Fan's body. Even if Li Fan had vitality to protect his body, those two hits were enough to deal with. Shameless bastard. Li Fan's eyes flashed with rage. With a wave of his hand, vitality surged, and the two androids were sent flying. However, Li Fan could not get the chance to kill them. Murong-ing took the opportunity to attack continuously, forcing Li Fan to fight back and unable to divert his attention to deal with the others. This is a good chance to kill him. Don't miss it. General Jean saw Li Fan's predicament. He pointed at Li Fan and said, "Quick, kill him. Don't give him a chance to turn things around." The two Stick Nation androids activated their maximum power. Their eyes were glowing red, and their bodies were spewing white smoke. Chapter 1294. These two things were like steam engines, and Li Fan took another look at them. Damn, this South Korea is really ruthless. Using this method, these two so-called envoys of justice probably won't be able to live for long. Quick, kill him. Kill these two Huaxiao people as well. Commissioner Li shouted and urged the two androids. The two androids aimed at Li Fan and opened their mouths. White light flashed in their mouths, and a huge force was gathering inside. Even Li Fan felt the threat of this force. If it hit him, he probably wouldn't be able to withstand it either. Bam, bam. Two half-meter thick mouth cannons shot out from the androids' mouths. One shot at Li Fan, and the other shot at Murong-ing. Li Fan frowned, and the Valkyrie behind him suddenly unleashed a Thunder Dragon heavenly punishment, instantly shattering Murong-ing's cherry blossom war god. Li Fan dove into Murong-ing's arms, but Murong-ing instantly stretched out two fingers and stabbed Li Fan's shoulder with a finger sword. Li Fan didn't dodge and took the attack head-on. Then, he hugged Murong-ing and held her in his arms. True dragon golden body. The golden light instantly enveloped the two of them. The Valkyrie was also enveloped in the golden light. She put her palms together and protected them like an old monk in meditation. Clang! The two light cannons blasted on the golden body, but it didn't budge. Commissioner Li and General Kim couldn't react for a long time. They were unharmed? How could this be? That was the full force attack of the envoys of justice, which was equivalent to the main cannon of a frigate. But now it was completely useless. Quick, continue to fire. We can always. Before Commissioner Li could finish, Li Fan suddenly dispersed his golden body. He held the Shang-Fong sword in one hand and swung it, creating a sword aura. Swoosh! As the sword chi swept past, Commissioner Li's upper body slowly slid down from the stump, and then blood spurted out like a fountain. Li Fan swung the Shang-Fong sword again, and another sword beam flew out, cutting the two androids that had yet to cool down in half. General Jean was completely stunned. What kind of power was this? All of his bargaining chips were actually ineffective? Then let's blow them up together. General Kim held the remote control in his hand. For our Stick Nation. Clang! The Shang-Fong sword flew out and knocked away the remote control in General Jin's hand. This treasured sword pierced through General Jin's throat. General Jean slowly kneeled down and prostrated himself on the ground. Li Fan stretched out his hand and pulled the Shang-Fong sword back to him through the air. Without the remote control, Murong-ing seemed to have lost her ability to move. She stood there, motionless. The rest of you, I will give you 30 seconds. Li Fan held the Shang-Fong sword and looked at the Stick Nation soldiers around him. If you don't leave, you'll die. The soldiers looked at each other, but none of them left. They raised their guns again and aimed at Li Fan. I see. Not bad. Li Fan nodded. He swung the Shang Fong sword in his hand continuously, and the sword chi shot out, killing all the soldiers around him. We're all serving our masters. Sorry. After Li Fan finished speaking, he suddenly half knelt down and propped the sword on the ground again to stabilize his body. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The crimson rose bloomed on the ground, and it was exceptionally beautiful. Li Fan's chest was still bleeding. The injury that Murong Ying gave him was not light. Murong Ying's sword chi was still lingering on the wound, and it kept tearing at Li Fan's wound, preventing it from healing. Li Fan consumed a rejuvenation pill, but with this, it would take some time for Li Fan's wound to heal. Although it was a loss, at least he managed to save Murong Ying. That was good enough. However, Murong Ying was still in a daze. There was still a chip controlling her inner brain. If he didn't remove the chip, she probably wouldn't be able to recover. Li Fan recovered for a while and stood up slowly. Then he picked up the Shang Fong sword and swung it at Archimedes in front of him. The sword energy swept out, directly splitting the missile vehicle into two. However, he didn't stop. He carried the Shang Fong sword and destroyed most of the military base. Then, he put the sword back to his waist and carried Murong Ying. However, before he left, Li Fan suddenly turned around, kicked open a box at the side, and looked at a Stick Nation clerk hiding behind it. The clerk hugged his arms and trembled. He looked at Li Fan in fear, as if he was looking at a demon. I'll let you live so that you can tell them that if they dare to mess with Archimedes again in the future, my Shang Fong sword will definitely visit again. With that, Li Fan stomped his foot on the ground, leaving a deep footprint on the ground. The clerk was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Meanwhile, Li Fan carried Murong Ying, turned around, and left on the breeze. Murong Ying's body was still unwell, so she couldn't travel a long distance. Li Fan thought about it and made a decision. Instead of going far, it was better to place her nearby. There were many empty houses in Yuezhou County, and no one lived there. It was suitable for recuperating. Li Fan found a house. It was a 2-story building with a single door and a courtyard. This room made Li Fan recall the past. The two of them, as well as Tai Zhu, lived in a small Western-style building that was about the same size. At this time, Murong Ying was lying on the bed. Li Fan couldn't care less about anything else. He pulled off her Chong Sam and made her sit cross-legged in front of him. Then, Li Fan pressed his hands on Murong Ying's smooth back and channeled primordial energy into her body. Even though she was as beautiful as a painting, Li Fan didn't dare to have any thoughts about her. He didn't want to trigger his inner demons and ruin his recuperation. The chip was stuck in Murong Ying's brain. Li Fan didn't know how to operate and didn't know how to remove it. However, from the looks of it, forcing it out with primordial energy was the best way. The primordial energy in Li Fan's body was as vast as the sea. It kept pouring into Murong Ying's body, filling her body with primordial energy and then slowly channeling it into her brain. Through this primordial energy, Li Fan saw Murong Ying's brain. There was indeed a chip implanted in the back of Murong Ying's head. However, there were many tiny nanoneurons on the chip, which were connected to Murong Ying's brain. If Li Fan moved a little too much, he was afraid that Murong Ying would suffer irreparable brain damage. Li Fan could only do it bit by bit. He couldn't rush it. He roughly counted. There were a total of 72 nanoneurons in Murong Ying's chip. If he wanted to remove the chip, he had to cut off all 72 nanoneurons. This was a huge surgical process. Even Li Fan didn't dare to be careless. He began to control his primordial energy and slowly made it smaller, like a miniature scalpel. However, Li Fan didn't dare to take the risk of cutting off two at once. It was too dangerous. He continued to shrink his primordial energy, keeping it the same size as the nanoneurons. Chapter 1295. By the time Li Fan cut open a neuron, he was already sweating profusely and exhausted. Li Fan let go of Murong Ying, leaned back, crossed his arms, and recuperated his internal force. Li Fan's internal force was not weak, but it did not mean that he had endless power. After cutting a neuron from Murong Ying, Li Fan had exhausted his physical strength and was so tired that he was panting. Damn, it got a big job. Li Fan wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He was a little exhausted and quickly took out an elemental recovery pill. However, Li Fan glanced at the elemental recovery pill and hesitated for a moment. Today, he only cut open one neuron, and there were still 71 left. With his strength, he was afraid that he could only cut one neuron a day. Li Fan put down the elemental recovery pill and circulated his internal force for a while. After recovering a little, he stood up and carefully laid Murong Ying on the bed. After that, he found a loose pajama from the wardrobe and helped her change into it. Anyway, they had slept together before, so it was not a big deal to change clothes. He would suffer some losses. After Li Fan had a feast for his eyes, he also took advantage of her. Only then did he settle Murong Ying down. You have a good sleep first. Li Fan was full of lust. He stood by the bed and looked at Murong Ying, who was lying motionless on it. I'm going out to see if there's anything to eat. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. After that, Li Fan left the bungalow and went to the supermarket in town. The residents of this place left in a hurry. It seemed that they had also received some compensation from the government. Therefore, the local buildings basically did not change much. They left in their original state. Li Fan walked into the supermarket. It was full of food, and there was no shortage. Well, this is quite convenient. Li Fan picked up some daily necessities and food and stuffed them into a cart. He also found some medicine and put it inside. Li Fan strolled around the supermarket and found a large freezer. He looked at the freezer thoughtfully. This time, they might have to fight a protracted war, so they had to prepare more. He pushed the cart with one hand and lifted the 1-meter-tall freezer with the other. In the hands of Li Fan, this 1,000-pound freezer was like a toy. He lifted it up high and dragged it all the way to the small house he lived in. There's nothing to do here. Let's practice my martial art first. Li Fan placed the freezer in the living room and plugged it in. He was very good at martial arts, but it was hard for his inner force to improve. He could only cultivate day and night and slowly improve. However, in terms of external martial arts, there were still areas that could be strengthened. Li Fan always felt that his profound Dragon Eyes Palm's fire level was still not high enough, and he needed to practice more. However, to practice this kind of palm technique, if it was in ancient times, one would have to find an ice cave with 10,000-year-old black ice to practice. But now, with the advancement of technology, there were more ways to practice martial arts. The freezer had been powered on for a day, and Li Fan had put a few basins of water in it. Now, it was frozen solid, and his hand hurt when he touched it. It's about time. Li Fan opened the freezer and pressed his left hand on the ice. The cold air entered Li Fan's left hand through his skin. Soon, Li Fan's left hand became as white as jade, as if it was carved out of ice and snow. The cold air entered his bones. In the past, Luo Shuwu even went berserk in order to practice martial arts, and her entire body was sealed in ice. And when Li Fan practiced this profound Dragon Eyes Palm, his entire left hand was also frozen into an ice sculpture. When the cold air entered his body, Li Fan felt pain. However, this also made him very happy. Pain meant that the cold air was indeed growing. This profound Dragon Eyes Palm, when practiced to the extreme, would hurt both others and oneself. It was a bit like the 7 injuries fist. However, in order to become stronger, this little bit of sacrifice was still necessary. Li Fan was originally a martial arts fanatic, and he also had a bunch of strong enemies. It wouldn't do if he didn't practice a sure kill technique. Looking at the cold air on his hand, a smile slowly appeared on Li Fan's face. Li Fan stayed here for almost 2 months. In these 2 months, he fed Murong Ying every day, wiped her body, and even went to the toilet on time. Murong Ying was like a vegetable now, and all her daily life needed to be taken care of by others. In the past, Murong Ying had also helped him a lot. Now, it was time to return the favor. Every time Li Fan felt bitter and tired, he would comfort himself like this. And in these 2 months, he didn't know how many ice cubes he had refined. And his profound Dragon Eyes Palm had also improved a lot. Today was the same. Li Fan sat on the bed, circulating his energy from Murong Ying. There were 72 neurons in his body. Sometimes, one or two of them were broken. In these 2 months, he was almost done. Just 2 more, and he would be able to end this trip to South Korea. At this time, Li Fan frowned slightly. He didn't expect that there would be guests in these last 2 days. A group of people dressed in white Tai Chi suits rushed in, and each of them carried an 8-trigram saber. This group of people were all top-notch experts in South Korea. They practiced the top-notch local martial arts, and now they had the chip to strengthen their abilities. This group was now called the Tai Chi Warriors. There were 12 of them, and they were known as the strongest in South Korea. They were here this time to kill this evil person who came to South Korea to commit evil. Such an evil person dared to do as he pleased in South Korea, and he even ruined Archimedes' plan. South Korea couldn't answer to the United States. It was too despicable. Jin Jungfeng, where are you now? A man's voice came from the earpiece. This person was none other than the vice president of South Korea. Ever since the incident, they had been searching for information about this Shangfang sword, because they immediately sealed off all the exits and realized that the Shangfang sword did not escape. They searched within the country and finally found traces of him near the area where the incident happened. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. The Chinese really like to play this kind of trick. We're near, about 100 meters away. The handsome man in the lead pressed his finger on his earlobe, and there was a rice-sized earpiece inside. He looked at the bungalow not far away with a cold gaze. If there's any danger, get away from that place immediately. There are missiles locked onto that place. This is our problem. Leave it to us. Jin Jungfeng was a little displeased. Don't you trust us? Don't be afraid of accidents, just in case. Jin Jungfeng had some reputation and status in South Korea. Even the vice president had to give him some face. I'll bring that brat's head to you. Jin Jungfeng looked at his companions as he spoke. Everyone, let's get ready. Don't worry. Leave it to us. The other 11 people were also top-notch experts. They exuded a terrifying aura as if they wanted to devour this place. Let's go. Let him stay in South Korea. Jin Jungfeng led these people and quickly approached the bungalow. Chapter 1296. However, Li Fan could not go out to welcome the guests. He was at a crucial moment in channeling his energy. There were still 2 more neurons left. Li Fan was prepared to take a gamble and quickly cut off these 2 neurons. He could not stay here any longer. At this moment, Jin Jungfeng and the rest had already arrived downstairs. A Taiji warrior directly kicked open the door. Everyone entered and saw that there was a huge freezer in the living room on the first floor. They did not know what it was used for. This Chinese is really strange. Why did he get a freezer? A Taiji warrior held his treasured saber and knocked it on the freezer, feeling a little puzzled. Who cares what it is for? It is just an ordinary freezer. Jin Jungfeng looked up the stairs. Chinese dog, why are you still not coming out? Everyone, you are here as a guest, yet you did not inform us in advance. It is not good to be so sneaky, right? A young man's voice came from upstairs. His voice seemed very soft, but it was like a great bell ringing in everyone's ears. This is our territory. We are free to go wherever we want. You evil disciple, you actually think you are the master. Jin Jungfeng could not help but mock. I want to be the master? You guys are used to being dogs. Laughter came from upstairs. Why? Is your beautiful daddy blaming you guys because you did not do well? Impudent. You do not repent even when you are about to die. Just obediently accept your death. Jin Jungfeng roared. Io, everyone, can you come up later? Right now, I'm having fun with my wife and have no time to entertain you guys. Then go down and be a pair of happy ghosts. A Taiji warrior immediately jumped up the stairs and rushed upstairs. But at this moment, a powerful palm wind came from upstairs. Bang! The entire staircase was frozen into frost, and that Taiji warrior was frozen into an ice sculpture. He slid down the stairs and smashed into the ground, shattering into pieces. I already said that it is not convenient for us now. Why is this child so disobedient? Li Fan's mocking voice came from upstairs. He lost his dog life for nothing. TSK, TSK. Jin Zhengfeng was someone who knew what was good and bad. This palm wind could shock the heavens and the earth. Even he had never cultivated such a powerful inner force before. Damn it. How could there be such a powerful opponent in China? I don't believe it. Everyone, let's go and kill him. Another 2 Taiji warriors stepped on the ice and charged forward. However, they were met with another powerful palm wind. The 2 Taiji warriors hurriedly raised their long sabers, wanting to block, but it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. In an instant, they were frozen into 2 ice sculptures, falling down and shattering. Dogs, can't they understand human language? Li Fan sneered again. Everyone, be careful. This is too strange. Kim Zhengfeng did not want his brothers to die for nothing. Every single one of them was a treasure of South Korea. Their deaths would be South Korea's greatest loss. He raised his head and looked up, looking in a certain direction. We can't go up, so you should come down. As Jin Zhengfeng spoke, he raised his saber and swept it on the ceiling. Bang! The ceiling split open, and a figure blew away the wood shavings and floated down. She had beautiful cherry blossoms by her side, and she looked like a beauty who walked out of a painting. All the men around her were stunned. This woman was dressed in a purplish-red qipao. She had black hair, a pretty face, and long legs. She landed in front of everyone. You are... Even Kim Zhengfeng could not help but be stunned when he saw such a beautiful woman. The chief of the martial arts community in China. As Mu Rongying spoke, she flicked her finger, and the cherry blossom sword aura spun and surrounded her. Be careful, it's a vicious beauty. Kill her. Kim Zhengfeng roared, and the remaining 8 people around him moved as well. Each of them wielded a saber and approached Mu Rongying. Good timing. As Mu Rongying spoke, she suddenly walked forward and flashed past a few Taiji warriors. Every time she flashed past them, her finger would tap on their chest. Puff, puff, puff. Blood spurted out from the backs of these Taiji warriors. The cherry blossoms pierced through their bodies and killed them all. What? Kim Zhengfeng's face turned pale, and there was finally some fear in his eyes. This was the chief of the martial arts community of China? Her martial arts skills were actually this high? Could it be that they were the orthodox ones? No, the orthodox one was me, South Korea. I don't care what chief you are. Die. As Kim Zhengfeng spoke, he picked up his long saber and created a saber aura. Then, he spun his saber and threw it at Mu Rongying. However, Mu Rongying struck her palm across the air, and Kim Zhengfeng's saber immediately hovered in front of Mu Rongying's palm, unable to descend. I've learned some saber techniques, but my internal energy skills are lacking. As Mu Rongying spoke, she pushed with her palm, and Kim Zhengfeng's saber broke into pieces. He was shocked, and Mu Rongying's finger was already in front of his forehead. Attack! Kim Zhengfeng knew that things were not looking good. Before he died, he roared into his earpiece. Bam! Kim Zhengfeng's head exploded, and his body fell to the ground. However, Mu Rongying looked out of the window with a slight frown. Without hesitation, she used her qigong and jumped upstairs. Then, she grabbed Li Fan, who was still lying on the bed. "Oh, my wife, I haven't slept well." Li Fan had just shouted when Mu Rongying grabbed him and broke through the window, landing outside. Mu Rongying used her qigong and 8 steps catching Cicada. She left the place quickly, leaving afterimages behind. Less than a minute after they left, a missile fell from the sky and landed. Boom! The place that was previously on fire was razed to the ground in the blink of an eye. Damn, are they sending us off with fireworks? Li Fan looked back and was shocked. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go. Mu Rongying scolded. It's too late. Stop. The 2 of them looked back and saw a missile falling from the sky, landing not far away from them. Hold me tight. Li Fan hugged Mu Rongying, and then his body emitted a golden light. Major 5 styles, true dragon golden body. The golden light enveloped the 2 of them, and the missile had already landed on the ground. A mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and the flames swept some, devouring everything. When the flames dissipated, Li Fan and Murong Ying stood in it, and Li Fan's expression was obviously not good. His internal energy was almost depleted, and he forced himself to use true dragon golden body again. This time, Li Fan's internal energy was exhausted. He touched his pocket and realized that he had eaten all the Yuan rejuvenation pills. This time, it could be said that he had made a losing deal. "Are you all right?" Murong Ying placed her hand on Li Fan's wrist and touched it. His meridians were a little weak. It seemed that Li Fan's internal energy was very empty. "All right, leave the rest to me," Murong Ying said and grabbed Li Fan. "What are you doing?" Li Fan asked her. "Carrying you." "Damn, I'm a man. How can I let you carry me? Cut the crap and come up." Chapter 1297. Murong Ying carried Li Fan all the way. As if she was riding on a cloud, she flew. Murong Ying's ability to read maps was extremely strong. With just a glance, she knew which direction to go. The two of them hurried all the way, as fast as lightning, as fast as lightning. But in front of Murong Ying, there were layers upon layers of troops. They guarded tightly, as if they didn't want anyone to escape. Look at them. The way they treat their guests is really good. They don't even want to let us go." Li Fan looked at the soldiers in all directions and couldn't help but laugh. You're still joking at a time like this." Murong Ying carried Li Fan on her back, looked around, and counted the formations of the troops here. They were all modern troops. Tanks and cannons were everywhere. There were helicopters patrolling the air, and from time to time, there were a few fighter jets flying over. "Look at how lively they are looking for us." Li Fan still had a relaxed smile on his face, as if he didn't put these people in his eyes at all. Can't you restrain yourself a little?" Murong Ying snorted. "Is there nothing in this world that you're afraid of?" "That's not right. I'm also a human. Of course I'm afraid." Li Fan immediately said. "What are you afraid of?" "I'm afraid that something will happen to you." Glib tongue. Murong Ying seemed to be slightly blushing, not knowing if it was because of embarrassment or anger. "How is it glib tongue? Look at how you're in trouble. Didn't I rush over immediately?" Li Fan said and patted Murong Ying's shoulder. "It's not convenient to carry me here. Put me down." "What's the inconvenience?" "You're a man. Why are you so slow?" Murong Ying looked into the distance. "You came for me. I'll bring you out." "I'm a man. Why do I need your protection?" Li Fan was also unhappy. Wasn't it just an empty inner force? He still had his legs and arms. There's soldiers everywhere in front. If you still have your inner force, you naturally can't stay here. But now that you have lost all your inner strength, it will take some time for you to recover. During this period of time, you will listen to me obediently. "I won't listen." "You have no choice but to listen." As Murong Ying spoke, she suddenly stretched out 2 fingers and touched Li Fan's neck. Li Fan's body was immediately immobilized. He widened his eyes and asked Murong Ying directly with his spiritual power. "I learned this acupoint sealing technique from you." Murong Ying was a little proud. "But my method is better than yours. I can lock all the meridians in your body. I reckon that you won't be able to move for the next 2 hours." "Woman, are you suffering from severe masochism?" Li Fan was enraged. How could this Murong Ying play such tricks? This woman either doesn't make a move, or when she does, it's a vicious move. He couldn't move or even speak for 2 hours. If not for the support of his mental strength, he would have suffocated to death. The way out has been sealed. Murong Ying sneered coldly as she looked at the blockade that stretched across the mountains and plains in front of her. "I want to see if they can stop me," Murong Ying. Finished speaking, Murong Ying's feet bounced, displaying her qigong. She danced on the grass as light as the wind. "The target has appeared." The defense line found the target. From afar, they saw Murong Ying wearing a purplish-red qipao, carrying a young man on her back. She ran towards them like a gust of wind. "Those 2 Chinese want to break through. Stop them." Cannon array. The defense line immediately launched an attack. Dozens of cannons aimed at Murong Ying's position and fired at the same time. But who was Murong Ying? Her footsteps were like a ghost. In a blink of an eye, she had already left the range of the cannons. No matter how many cannons locked onto Murong-ing, she was always able to escape at the first instant, rendering the soldiers at the defense line helpless. "You're all useless. Can't you even kill 2 people?" The commanding officer scolded his subordinates. They had so many elite troops, but now they had become decorations. The Viper has locked onto the target. The Viper has locked onto the target. An armed helicopter in the air aimed at Murong-ing. The 2 machine guns on the wings rotated, spitting out tongues of fire. Bullets swept towards Murong-ing like rain. "Stupid," Murong-ing sneered. She dodged to the side, avoiding the terrifying rain of bullets. At the same time, she flicked her finger. A cherry blossom sword leaped into the air, pierced through the helicopter, and nailed the pilot's forehead. The pilot was dead. The helicopter fell to the ground uncontrollably and broke into pieces in the fire. "Awesome," Li Fan praised. Stop flattering me." Although that was what Murong-ing said, there was a hint of happiness in her voice. The 2 of them safely passed through the defense line and arrived at the seaside. On the vast sea, there were only South Korean patrol boats. However, this was not a problem for Murong-ing. She walked on the waves without leaving a trace and moved forward. Murong-ing was extremely fast. Although the sea was wide, it could not stop Murong-ing's qinggong. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly jumped down from a fishing boat at the side. His body was light, and he walked on the water as if it was flat ground. In a few steps, he arrived in front of Murong-ing. "Wang Jian?" Murong-ing furrowed her brows when she saw the man. "Why are you here?" Murong-ing asked. "A long time no see. Little sister Murong is still so beautiful." Wang Jian made a gesture with his thumb and middle finger and looked at Murong-ing. Li Fan felt a chill run down his spine. He would rather face Tai Zhu than face this guy. Sigh. Speaking of which, I haven't seen Tai Zhu for a long time. I miss her. I hope she doesn't miss me. Cut the crap. Tell me your purpose. Murong-ing questioned. I look at you. You're just a young lady. Why are you so fierce? Wang Jian rolled his eyes. You should learn from him. Be gentler, so that men will like you. It's none of your business. If you don't tell me your purpose, get lost. You scare me to death. Wang Jian touched his chest. My little heart is beating so fast. What's the rush? Really? After Wang Jian finished, he pointed at Li Fan with his thumb and middle finger. I'm here for this silly boy. Damn, why is this guy looking for me again? Li Fan felt bitter in his mouth, and he wanted to curse. Look, you little sweetheart. Your eyes are so resentful. I miss you so much. Hee hee, you motherfucker. If his acupuncture points were not sealed, Li Fan would have hit him. Why are you looking for him? Li Fan felt that Murong-ing's hand behind his back was hugging him a little tighter. Look at your distressed look. Sure enough, you are a happy sweetheart. Wang Jian sighed. Unfortunately, if I were a girl like you, it would be good. That way, I can personally serve that sweetheart behind you. Chapter 1298. What do you want him for? Murong-ing stared at Wang Jian, not knowing what he was thinking. Don't be so nervous. I just want to invite him to be my guest. Wang Jian took a handkerchief and gently wiped the lip gloss on his mouth. Look at you. How nervous you are. With me here, no one can touch him. Murong-ing said sarcastically. What? You want to fight me? The current alliance, Master Murong, is indeed at the prime of his life. Using words to describe a beautiful girl like you doesn't seem to be suitable. Wang Jian gently patted his cheek. People with smooth skin like us should be more gentle when speaking. Idiot. Murong-ing scolded and then turned around to leave. Bang! The sea surface in front of Murong-ing exploded, and the seawater soared into the sky, blocking her way. We just met. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Wang Jian said with a smile, holding a sword in his hand. Even if you want to leave, you have to leave my little enemy behind. Get lost while I'm still in a good mood. Murong-ing scolded. Otherwise, I'll leave your life here. Look at you, such an impatient temper. I really don't know how Li Fan can stand you. You guessed it right. Murong Ing suddenly smiled. He really can't stand my temper. With that, Murong Ing put one hand behind Li Fan, and the other hand stretched out 2 fingers and pointed at Wang Jian. Wang Jian moved his body sideways, and the sword chi flew out from his side. The sea surface was divided into 2 sides, and then slowly filled up. The two stood on the sea surface, their feet stepping on the sea surface, neither rising nor sinking, staring at each other. "Oh, to be honest, if possible, I really don't want to be enemies with you, little girl," Wang Jian said with a smile. "However, a mission is a mission. I must bring this little enemy back today. Since that's the case, let's cut the crap." Murong Ing carried Li Fan on her back and summoned the cherry blossom war god. "I'll lead the way myself." "Oh my, the martial god's true body is not weak at all." Wang Jian seemed to be a little scared. "Using this martial art to scare me. I'm scared." Wang Jian said this, but his hand moved up. The lesser formless technique was also a divine technique. Following Wang Zhang's movement, 5 pillars of water immediately rose from the surface of the water. Like dragons and snakes, they shot toward Murong Ing. However, the cherry blossom war goddess waved her hand and shattered the dragon snake water pillar. Flame palm. Murong Ying's eyes glowed red, while the cherry blossom war god's right hand was engulfed in flames as he slapped towards Wang Jian. Wang Zong stretched out his right hand and pushed in front of him. The flame palm stopped right in front of Wang Jian. It was actually controlled by his minor phaseless magic technique, and it stopped moving. Murong Ing furrowed her brows. "Little girl, your martial arts are high, but it is still at the level of qi." Wang Jian chuckled. "That old fart of yours comprehended in qi. Why didn't he teach you? Less nonsense. Look, you are still so fierce. I really don't know what little enemy likes about you." Wang Zun sighed. "Your true energy is indeed outdated. As for me, I train in Yang Qi, which is a level higher than Qi. Even without the martial god's true body, I can still fight with you." Hearing this, Li Fan's eyebrows jumped. "Yang Qi? It sounds very powerful. It seems to be the exact opposite of Murong's In Qi. Little sweetheart, little girl, with the intelligence of the two of you, you should have already guessed it, right?" While controlling the cherry blossom war god's hand, Wang Jian said, "This Yang Qi is the exact opposite of In Qi. These 2 types of power are originally trained by martial artists. In the past, the pugilistic world was divided into 2 factions, the Yang faction and the Yin faction. The 2 factions both thought that they were the orthodox of the pugilistic world. They competed and killed each other. In the end, the pugilistic world declined. Thus, the Yin and Yang Qi were lost. Later generations combined some of the incomplete parts and cultivated it into Qi. Since it was lost, why did you cultivate it?" Hearing this, Murong Ing could not help but ask, "Io, other people might not know, but how could the emperor of the pugilistic world not know?" Wang Jian's expression suddenly turned serious. In the pugilistic world, there's always been an emperor who is hereditary. The previous emperors all trained in Yang Qi. As for our emperor, Liao Ju, he also trained in Yang Qi. It has been passed down from generation to generation until today. Hey, your family's emperor is not doing well. At this moment, Li Fan had just recovered his ability to speak. He could not help but laugh. Living in the underground tomb circle seems to be very happy. Io, you little sweetheart, you're finally willing to open your mouth and say something. I thought you were going to ignore me. Wang Jian looked at Li Fan with hidden bitterness. Li Fan immediately did not want to speak. Our emperor's body has not been very good. As a result, he can only recuperate below. As a matter of fact, these 2 years of recuperation is almost enough. It is time for the pugilistic world to change. In our pugilistic world, what else is worth changing? After listening, Li Fan curled his lips. Right now, in the pugilistic world, only my 7 Knights villa is left. Could it be that this Liao Ju wants to occupy my villa? Io, how could our emperor be interested in a small villa? Your place is like a paradise. Let him live in a courtyard when he has nothing to do. Our emperor's ambition is the world, understand? Fuck, my ambition is the universe. Li Fan rolled his eyes. Recently, I am preparing to establish a universe empire. I will be the first emperor of the empire, and you will be the chief of the inner palace. What do you think? Wang Jian laughed weirdly. I already said that you were a little enemy. Even at this time, you are still running your mouth. Others may not know the strength of our emperor, but don't tell me you are not clear. Now that our emperor has recovered all of his strength, he is only waiting for an auspicious day to come out of seclusion. Is he going to come out of seclusion, or is he going to marry? Li Fan still ridiculed. All right, when he comes out, I still want to fight with him. Let's see if his yang qi is stronger or my elemental qi is stronger. All right, I will send you to see him now. Don't even think about it. The cherry blossom sword qi on Murong Ying's body became denser and denser. Soon, the cherry blossom war god slowly disappeared. Murong Ying's right arm condensed a powerful cherry blossom sword qi, forming the shape of an arm. It is about 2 meters long and is covered with cherry blossom armor. At the same time, it is holding a cherry blossom longsword. What? From this sword qi, Wang Jian felt an aura that surpassed true qi. This is elemental qi? As if he suddenly understood, he became puzzled. Strange, I thought that the two of you have done the deed between a man and a woman. But this little girl is obviously still a virgin. Girl, where did your elemental qi come from? Chapter 1299. Right now, Murong Ying's body is mixed with a large amount of elemental energy, which was transferred into her by Li Fan when he was treating her. Originally, she also had some true qi in her body, but along the way, it was almost consumed. These 2 months of treatment day and night made the elemental energy in Murong Ying's body even purer than that of imperial concubine Zhou and Lu Wan'er. Therefore, Wang Jian suspected that Li Fan and Murong Ying had an intimate relationship. Are you a concubine flower who left? After thinking for a long time, Wang Jian could only squeeze out such a sentence. You're courting death. Murong Ying's face turned crimson. It was unknown whether it was because of anger or embarrassment. She roared, and the cherry blossom sword in her right hand directly slashed down towards Wang Jian's head. Clang! Wang Jian used his minor phaseless divine technique to block, but this time it only blocked for a second or two. Then, Murong Ying's sword broke through his defense and slashed his sword. The sword entered the flesh, and blood splashed 3 steps away. Wang Jian's divine technique protected his body, but he was also seriously injured by this sword. If he had not used his hand to slap away Murong Ying's sword in time and dodged to the side, I'm afraid this time he would have been cut in half. Io, Alliance Leader, your sword is really powerful. Wang Jian's face was filled with lingering fear. I can't beat you, so I won't fight anymore. However, now that I'm gone, the next one who comes will be an even more powerful expert. Let them come. If one comes, I'll kill one. If 2 comes, I'll kill both. Murong Ying once again raised her cherry blossom sword. Wang Jian did not dare to delay. He split the waves and returned to the distant fishing boat in the blink of an eye. Humph, a clown. Murong Ying sneered. She carried Li Fan on her back and continued to walk on the waves all the way back to the shore. After reaching the shore, Murong Ying threw Li Fan to the ground. Ouch! Li Fan pretended to be in pain, rubbed his butt, and said, Woman, you're too much. You just come ashore and you don't want to acknowledge your man anymore. When did you become my man? Murong Ying snorted and glared at Li Fan. Is it because you've been living too comfortably recently that you're pushing your luck? I gave you an inch and you want a foot? I've had a lot in the past 2 months. Li Fan laughed heartily. Which part of your body have I not tasted before? Are you tired of living? Murong Ying raised her eyebrows, and the vital energy in her body also rose. Look, we're husband and wife. Why don't you remember our relationship? They're just engaged. Murong Ying turned her head away, refusing to look at Li Fan. We're already living together. How can it be called unmarried? I say, As the saying goes, a day as husband and wife means 100 days of kindness. We've been friends for hundreds of days, right? Your words are vulgar. You deserve a beating. Murong Ing raised her palm, but Li Fan very calmly opened his arms and stuck out his chest, as if letting Murong Ing hit him. You. Looking at Li Fan's weak appearance, Murong Ing hesitated and withdrew her hand. If I hit you now, people will laugh at me for bullying the weak. When you're better, we'll fight again. Hey, we're husband and wife. Why do you always want to hit me? Although we're husband and wife in name, we're not husband and wife in reality. We can't be considered husband and wife. Isn't that simple? Li Fan laughed. If you want to be husband and wife, I can do it any time. I think you're just asking for a beating. Murong Ing raised her hand again, but after thinking for a moment, she put it down again. Come on, hit me, the harder the better. However, Li Fan urged him instead. Are you sick? Why are you asking for a beating? Murong Ing was baffled. That's right, isn't there a saying that goes? Hitting is love, scolding is love. The harder you hit me, the deeper your feelings for me are. Murong Ing raised her palm for the third time, and the flame condensed on her palm. If this flame palm were to hit her, it would probably take her life. But after clenching her teeth for a long time, she still put her hand down. What do you want? Pervert. Murong Ing was somewhat flustered and exasperated. How can you scold your own husband as a pervert? You shouldn't do that. Nonsense. If you talk nonsense again, I'll tear your mouth. Come on, I can't ask for more. Li Fan simply lay down on the ground and made a pose, looking like a rascal. You this guy. Murong Ing couldn't do anything to Li Fan. Don't call me wife in the future. I've broken off all ties with you. Murong Ing snorted coldly. Hey, didn't I say that when a husband and wife fight, they fight at the head of the bed and reconcile at the end? No, not husband and wife. Don't you already have Xiao Ai, Xiao Wan, Imperial Concubine Zhou, and so on? I've heard about them. Hey, it seems that you still care about my affairs. Who cares about you? That's it, I'm going back. Where are you going? Li Fan asked. Murong's villa. There's nothing to go back to. Li Fan asked tentatively. How about coming back to my 7 nights villa with me? Li Fan, let me ask you. Murong Ing didn't answer Li Fan, but asked him, if one day a woman comes and you like her, she will tell you to give up all your property in the 7 nights villa. Then, she told you to give up all of your properties, give up on the 7 chivalry villa, and watch as the 7 chivalry villa was slowly devoured by others and slowly declined. As for you, you will follow her into the world. Are you willing? Li Fan was really stumped. He had poured too much effort into the 7 nights villa, and this villa was shouldering a great responsibility. It was impossible for Li Fan to abandon it for a girl. Wouldn't that make him a man who coveted beauty? You can't answer, can you? Murong Ing snorted coldly. Only you, Li Fan, can shoulder the justice, and I, Murong Ing, should abandon my family and property to go with you? Li Fan, if you really think so, then I, Murong Ing, will look down on you. So what do you think I should do? Li Fan also became serious. He jumped up from the ground and looked at Murong Ing in front of him. The woman I like, can't I just watch her go? You really like me? Murong Ing suddenly asked. Of course it's true. How could I lie at a time like this? Li Fan felt that he had never been so serious. If you really like me, that's enough. Murong Ing suddenly smiled. What do you mean? Now the martial arts world is in turmoil. If you and I are still alive after 20 years, then I will come to you again. Murong Ing said and turned to leave. Damn, 20 years, isn't it too long? Li Fan was dissatisfied and shouted. Hearing this, Murong Ing immediately stopped and looked back at Li Fan. What, do you think I am old and faded? That's not it, Li Fan said. Besides, with your martial arts, even if you're 40 years old, you will still look 18 or 19. Just what? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.